couple of sound.
I thought this is our clap. We're going.
You need the little. Where's the thing?
It's right there. But that's too professional. We go like this.
Checking everything. Yeah, we're good.
I don't know. I think he's just clapping because he's been drinking.
You get the sound. You get the sound right. Do your thing.
Are we recording or not?
Yeah.
All three are on?
Everything.
You sure?
Yes.
You're positive.
No.
Hey, we got the music off this time.
Was the music playing last time?
It was for about the first half an hour. But we couldn't tell. I could not tell. I'm telling you, I could not hear that music in the beginning.
I know.
Did you hear it?
I didn't
when
really
you were,
know.
when
I
you?
didn't think it was a bother at all. But it turned out fine. I thought
It turned out really good.
Yeah.
I thank God for the producer over there. He did a great job. Didn't you? You did a good job. Tonight was a little shaky at first. Sometimes. You're still here, right? Yeah. Thank God. All right. If you're gonna be cold, I have a blanket here.
No, I'm not cold at all. Why did you think I was cold?
I don't know. It's just I kind of shiver a little bit.
Oh,
I
no.
thought,
I'm
shivering.
not cold. I'm
That's not
totally
good.
fine. I feel good.
All right,
yeah.
cool.
I keep looking around. There's just so much. Like
There's a lot to
So
take in.
that's my brother right there, and that's
Yeah.
my brother and I up on the North Shore.
Okay, is that new? That wasn't here last time.
That was
How did I miss that?
that was here. Well, you were sitting here. I was sitting there.
Oh,
you were sitting
true.
Here. You
Okay,
were
so
sitting
now I'm
here.
looking at a different.
So you have a whole different perspective on this.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there because this is your second time. Like
You get the
you
king
are
chair.
Yeah, you are the only one that has ever been asked
Really?
back. Yeah, you're a two-timer.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, actually. Seriously, you should be proud of that. That's pretty
Well,
sweet.
thank you.
So, are you
That's
kidding me?
it's an honor.
It was awesome having you on. It's our honor. This
Mm-hmm.
is awesome. So we're gonna do something a little different. It was your idea. You're like, we should have somebody else on that should have let's have a threesome and have a little bit different perspective on it. Right? You didn't have to have a sexual connotation to that
Okay,
at
you
all
can't say
whatsoever.
threesome.
For fuck's sake.
didn't enjoy that.
Well, you probably shouldn't have, because that was fucking weird and creepy.
Yeah.
All right, so, but the thought was to have like somebody had a different perspective on things, and not necessarily.
Yeah.
And we'll let you reintroduce yourself in a second, and then we'll reintroduce.
Okay.
We'll introduce you or introduce you.
Introduce, yeah.
But and this doesn't have to be a political thing. Like, we're gonna end up doing the board, and we'll take turns. Like, you can pick one category, and then we'll talk, and then Lucy can pick a category, and we'll go back and forth.
No, I also feel like we probably have like politically probably, yeah, but also like a lot of different perspectives on like a different thing. Like you're a great person. Like, I'm trying to think if we probably have more not in common than we do in common. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just
and
feel
it's not like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, I love that like about this like so much.
It's like the whole point is to get different perspectives on stuff, and people have been through like different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's because I feel like we're ready to get into this. Like, we can just start.
Yeah.
talking. So well, hold on, but let's do a little intro, because we need a little intro. We need to have a little bit of introduction here. So so we're back at Garage Pod, and we're here with Ellie.
Ellie Fulford.
And take it away. So just introduce yourself, and like who you are, and where you're a college student. Keep going. And,
yeah. Well, I'm a sophomore in college. I'm Ellie Fulford. And
what are you studying?
I'm studying government, with an emphasis in legal studies. And what else should I add?
No, I mean, whatever you want to. You got that diamond in your tooth.
I got
right
that diamond in my
I
tooth.
think
I'm a
you
little
should show
disappointed.
that
I
off.
think the mic is going to cover it, but
Yeah.
there is a diamond there.
See,
So
you're
that
welcome.
really-
You got
yes.
to see it, Jared. Jared
I
wanted to
love
see
it.
All right. And
Okay, great.
and we're honored to have Lucy here. Lucy, so Lucy, you're 18 years old.
Yes,
And
I
give
like,
us
just turned 18.
Give us your.
I'm a freshman this year.
Where do you go to
at
school?
University of Denver.
And Ellie, where do you go to school?
I go to school at Grand Canyon University.
All right.
Go
Why did I
Lopes,
like
Lopes up.
Why did I forget that you went to school with my brother?
What?
It's like I was like, oh my god, Grand Canyon. My brother goes there. No, yeah. So I go to the University of Denver. Right now, I'm double majoring in English and philosophy, and then hopefully junior year there's an education program so I can be a professor and like get into teaching.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Anything else?
Anything else you want to tell everybody? You want to show off your tattoos? You got new tattoos?
Oh, I got a new tattoo.
I want to see it in person.
So,
oh my gosh.
It's the caterpillar. It starts. And then there's the cocoon, and then the butterfly goes like up my rib.
Yeah, this is a kid's show,
How
so
bad
don't whip
did
your
that
kid
hurt?
out.
So bad. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
The rib part was really bad. Like really, really bad.
Were there any tears, or was
No,
it
I
like
didn't
tolerable?
cry.
It's just like I'm in pain. I hate this.
There was a lot of words that were thrown
okay,
around.
but yeah.
And I there was a few times where I was like, I'm gonna pass out, or like
Yeah.
I cannot do this anymore. But she was really nice. Like my tattoo artist, she was so cool. She was like, "You're doing great. Like you got this. I just have like a little bit more." She did not have a little bit more. She was lying.
You want?
Yeah.
You want to give her a shout out? You want to give her a free shout out? We don't like to do free shout outs, but you know what? I think she was so awesome.
She was so
right? This is what
great.
I heard.
I don't know why I can't remember her, but it's at Brass
name was Sierra.
Knuckles. I know her first name was Sierra. I was trying to think of her last name. Yeah. It's at Brass Knuckles, Sierra. She gave me such like a good price. She was so nice to me. It was like my first tattoo, so I was kind of terrified.
Do you want more?
Yeah.
Like,
I want to get like fully sleeved at some point.
Oh my gosh. In another life, I had or I will have.
Well, because like I got my
sleeves.
septum.
Like, I think they're awesome.
Yeah, the minute I turned 18. It was like the first thing I did, and Dad took me. And it was like very because like my mom was like kind of
yeah.
but then it was like as soon as I'm 18, like I can do what I want. Like it's and I pay for it, and it's my body, and I can do what I want.
Yeah,
and this is what I wanted to do. So I was very happy.
Some people say tattoos are the sign of the devil.
I agree.
All right.
I think they are the sign
Tattoos
of
are
all
the sign
Satan.
of the devil.
Why?
Because it's like
I'm not a tattoo person, so I don't know this, but like why?
actually
It's,
I
like,
don't really know.
crazy.
You grew up more religious than I do, but like I've heard that before.
Oh,
Like people will be
religious
like,
people.
yeah, like that's so sinful, and like you can't like tattoo like the body that like God gave you or like change it. Am I right?
No, I was just making a joke, but
Oh.
because I have tattoos everywhere, but and that I'm the devil, but
Went a little over
I
our
have my
heads.
staff here, but you took that pretty deep.
I did. Well, I
You
mean
went
that's
pretty
the
deep with that.
thing because I've had like people. Well, okay, not personally to me. That is.
A lot of religious people, I feel like, do have tattoos.
That's
though.
what I'm
Or they get like a
saying,
Bible
though.
verse on
Yeah.
your, a cross, or
Bible verse
It's
on
a-
their wrist.
It's a bit
Yeah.
hypocritical sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah. That'll be a fun, like, spiritual. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to know what you think, like, spiritually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because we kind of we touched on that a little bit in our last podcast and stuff, and that's been something like, I don't know. I'm always like, I'm very open to like other stuff like that, but
Yeah.
Dig it.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So she knows because she's
Okay.
already been on this thing before. She's a veteran.
Yeah.
So usually how this goes is we have the categories. We got 49 different categories here.
Why not 50?
We'll add to it probably, like,
Okay.
throughout, like, because we added
can.
a lot.
And we can add, and we...
I just 49 is such a
Random?
incomplete
Yeah.
number in my
Oh,
mind.
Yeah,
it makes it sound like you are a...
No, it bugs me. Like it's
right,
like,
I know. That makes it sound like you are pretty OCD.
No, maybe
Yeah.
just a little bit.
All right. And so, and some of these categories will come off and we'll replace them and put new ones on. Some are staples. 35 up there, rando, is a random category of your picking. So,
Move your cup there, Greg.
so quite honestly,
Get it out.
getting yelled at already.
Yeah.
I'm getting yelled at. I do like it that you're not afraid to yell at me.
I told him to
Thank
start
you.
yelling at you more. I was like,
That's
just tell
great.
him.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So you pick anything you want. I get to ask the questions, and so rando though number 35 is anything you want. So really,
Okay.
it's an open category, and you can just pick whatever you want.
Do you just come up with
So
the
you're lucky.
questions off the top of your head, or do you have
You'll-
like?
I have them prepared.
Oh.
I have a giant book down there with questions in it.
I didn't know that's what was in those. I was curious.
Both of these books right here. I'm putting my cup back on there.
That's fine. I'm not.
Who's texting me?
Both of these are filled with questions,
Oh, dope.
but I've already put them in my head, so.
He's
worry.
memorized all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but don't worry about it.
I was just curious.
Fashion's on there twice.
It is?
Yes.
All right, we're at
You could
40
add fast in
we're-
front of it.
We're,
Right?
The idea of like mass production fashion.
That's
you want to break it into
Shall?
two?
What does that say?
No, it's fashion.
It's just you can't read.
FASHI.
Can't read his handwriting.
I know.
That's correct. It's on there twice.
Maybe add crime.
Let's do
Ooh,
crime.
I just took a criminology course, which was
Really?
so like it was just
You know why I say crime though? Because of the Idaho murders.
no. I don't know what's going
What?
on.
What?
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on.
I think I
Hold
have
on.
broken this news to like everybody
Wait.
because
It's
I'm
ridiculous. It's
in
so
like
fucked up.
it's like insane.
Alright, is
So
that
I
what you're
always
picking
want
as
to talk
crime?
about it and just like
Okay.
If you want to talk about it, pick
Oh,
number
I'm
40. So
going to
you know what?
talk
You
about
have
it.
the honor.
yes.
You get to go
Because
first.
So
you
we'll start
are
with
first.
crime.
Okay.
But you didn't hear about this?
No, and I like love
Yeah.
like
I feel like my
Like-
podcast is getting taken over. Here.
Sorry, yeah.
Hang
We're
on,
gonna
hang on.
forget he's here.
I know it's just gonna be you.
Okay.
Be like, oh hi Greg.
Okay, so tell us about your crime experience.
So I go on TikTok. I
Mhm.
love like crime documentaries
Yes.
and everything. Like it's just I love like
So
just
what's
Pop
going on?
stuff like
Like,
that.
I have some idea what's happening in Idaho or what happened.
So this
There's
is-
4 college kids.
this is about
We're
3 weeks ago. Idaho, not Idaho, in Moscow, Idaho.
Okay.
And they were living off campus for like college students, like just normal college students, just had their throat slit in their off campus college home, stabbed to death. It was a very gruesome crime scene. And it's just like taken the nation by like shock.
Whoa.
Everyone's so shocked over it. There were 2 other roommates in the house that survived. And the house layout is like a 3-story house. And the 4 victims were on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And the 1st floor, they were untouched. And it's just, no one knows who did it.
I was gonna say,
It's
yeah, do they have
just-
any leads? Any like
It's just like unreal. And if you go on TikTok and like look all this stuff up, there's so many like theories. And it's just
that's so
unreal. Because
so
nobody knows.
interesting, yeah. And I feel like we haven't had okay, maybe this is just like I like just don't pay attention, but I feel like we haven't had like something like that that's like
Like maybe people are like
swept.
shot or
Yeah.
everything, but getting their throats like
Yeah.
slit, like
so they had
and
like Colombian
stabbed.
neckties where they just
Yes,
slit them in.
like
That's
that's
like
very,
Criminal Minds
yeah,
type.
That's
but
not normal at all. If anything,
whoa.
you'll hear people getting like shot to death, like or
Yeah.
anything, which happens every day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But being
So what do you-
stabbed like
what do you-
that,
what's your
college
theory?
students, I got no clue.
After
and there's
everything you've heard, and because you do seem like a you're coming across like you've heard a lot.
Well, people
What's your
have said
theory?
that the crime scene looked like a crime of passion. Like this is not something random. Something like somebody was jealous, somebody was mad, somebody was angry.
There was a
Over all 4
connection.
people, were they males, females? What were they?
It was a boyfriend and girlfriend who lived in the house.
Okay.
And then there were 2 other girls. So there was one guy and the rest of the roommates were girls.
Okay.
So 3 girls died and 1 man or boy died. So I truly have no idea, but I'm very skeptical about why weren't the 2 roommates on the 1st floor, like why did they not
How do you
get
not
murdered?
hear
How did you not hear it when the
anything?
first one got
Exactly.
their throat slit?
Yeah.
How
Like-
does somebody
Well,
not
It
react?
is believe that they were sleeping and they were passed out drunk and whatever and stuff like that. Because
Okay.
this happened on a weekend, on a Saturday night. They know the times that they were all getting
The-
like home late, like 1:38 in the morning.
The other 2
2:30.
roommates so cleared.
Yeah, they're not a suspect right now, and a lot of
Oh.
people are skeptical about that because everyone's asking.
How could
It's
you
like
not?
How could
how
you
do
not
you
hear
not?
that?
But I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess if you're like passed out drunk, like that type of knocked, I personally
Yeah.
haven't been, so like I don't know. But like I feel like you've seen and like
Yeah,
that's like pretty. You're unconscious.
you know,
like,
people are like considering the layout of the house as well as why they could not have heard it, or if they were sleeping
Mm.
and there was only 1 victim who had like defense wounds on them too.
Oh, was
What
it
is
the
this
male by any chance?
No, it was one of the girls.
Oh, 'cause
It
I was
the girlfriend
thinking-
of the couple.
Because I was
that
like,
had
oh,
defense
okay,
wounds.
maybe like he like was going in there for the women, and then the man like tried to step in, but maybe he was going for the couple, and then like the two other girls tried to fight him off, and it was like that type of connection.
The whole thing just blows my mind, and they're not releasing a lot of information, like, because they can when they're trying to do this, and everybody is just demanding it and wanting it, and then taking like the small things we know and just having these drastic theories and stuff.
Well, and it's not like Idaho has 50 million people.
Yeah,
it's not like a major. Not that it's small, but it's considered to be a little bit more on the smaller side.
Oh, absolutely. And
So
it's not like New York. Like,
is this just a random attack, or did
like is this going to keep
happening?
happening?
Or a woman? Is it multiple people? Random? I don't know. The only thing that just gets me is why did they not go to the first floor? They only
that is
on the
weird.
Second and
Why would you go up first? Why wouldn't you?
And if they were familiar with those people, they would know where they lived and they would know about the.
Technically, Michael Myers went up to the second floor when he killed his sister.
But was he already in the house?
He was. Well, you have to be in the house already.
Wait, is Michael Myers a real person?
Yeah.
Are you for real?
Maybe.
No, you're not. It's not based on a true story, right?
To me, it is.
Okay, so no, for the record.
I know.
Don't dishonor Spooktober, okay?
Yeah,
don't do it. Don't dishonor Michael Myers, okay? Halloween is the greatest Halloween movie ever made.
No, he said that, and I had like a moment where I was like, "Am I just like stupid? Like, do I not know if that's a real person?"
That's
or
what
not?
I debated whether I wanted to keep that going or not.
Yeah.
I thought,
Let's not lie on the internet.
So do you worry about that when you're at like have you thought about that when you're at parties at school?
Are you off campus?
Yeah, I am
off
campus.
So like you're at somebody's house or even your own, like does that cross your mind at all? Like maybe I better not have this last drink, or like I just like I'm aware of my surroundings a little bit more.
Oh,
like, do you thought about it?
It's scary down in Phoenix, and I was just talking about it. I literally texted my roommates like today because I want a Ring doorbell in our backyard as well. We have one in the front, but even at my house, I feel like we don't have enough. I don't know if I should say we don't have enough security. And I was talking to my mom about that. Like,
don't
we
give
need
out
cameras.
the
Okay, yeah. We need like
don't be
cameras
like
Phoenix is a big place.
everywhere.
It'll be
Like,
all right.
this whole case is like paranoid me. Like,
So it has.
Yeah.
So it's affected you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like,
and it's changed your behavior.
People are creepy and weird.
Oh
and
yeah.
Oh, this has kind of hit home with you.
Yeah, it has.
Wow. Do you think it changed your Have you ever been? Hold on. You ever been blackout drunk?
I don't really black out.
All right, because you can handle it.
But I get like pretty drunk, but I don't. Well, not all the time, but occasionally, every once in a while, I will. But I don't like forget like a huge.
Like
chunk
you don't
of the
remember
night.
what the hell happened.
I don't wake up. I think that's just scary when people say,
That
"Oh, I
sounds
black out every single time." Waking up and being like, "What happened?" Like I would be so scared.
Better than those four. At least you woke up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, seriously, it sucks. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
You worry about that at all? When you go out to parties and stuff, you worry about somebody's gonna drug you?
Oh yeah.
You worry about that?
I think about like
I
people,
but I know it's very. I should probably worry about it a lot more. But
like okay, I don't worry about
common.
personally for me because like I feel like I am like I'm a big like one like either I bring my own drinks or like I cover things and like I don't go out that much, but like I don't know. I think because like my friend. Don't know if I should say my friend.
All right, well, note to self there. We'll edit that out. Take a note. Yeah, okay.
My friend.
Stop saying it.
During Halloween, I had to call EMS on one of my friends because they were like just like the eyes were rolling back and stuff like that, and I got really scared, and we just thought we were like, oh, we probably just had too much to drink or like whatever, something like that. But then stuff started going around that there was a party where like like there was like jungle juice and stuff that like it had been drugged and it had been pilled, and, like a ton of people on campus, and I mean that frat guy in like a ton of trouble.
I hate
But
that. So let's
like
put that on there too and just talk about how much we.
it's
Like, why you
just-
gotta ruin a good time?
Exactly.
We're all having a good
Like,
time.
I
why?
don't
Oh my
know.
god.
Like you're
There's like a million girls there.
What,
Like,
you're gonna
one
rape
would
fucking
wanna
30
take
girls
you
at once?
and
Come
get
on.
with you. You don't
And it
need
just-
to like, yeah.
I don't know.
Come
It's always in the
Your
back of
chances
my
are high.
mind.
Like,
yeah.
Come
Why
on.
you gotta ruin it for everybody?
Or like when I walk home, like sometimes like I don't know if it's just because I've been like so like taught and internalized like don't trust anyone and like no. That like people are out to get you and blah 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 blah. That like I'm a little bit more cautious, but I don't
Swivel
know.
neck's better than a broken neck.
Yes. I would say I'm more so worried about my friends than anything. Like
I feel it, yeah. Like I'm very like self-aware, and sometimes I'll even be like, dude, don't do that. Like don't close the door when you like go into a room with someone you don't know.
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing?
It's like I feel like I'm the self-aware one, and I don't know if that like kind of I don't know if like you get this, but like it kind of like takes the fun out of partying sometimes because it feels like I always, and maybe it's just because like it's like my freshman year and like I'm still getting into it, but it's like I always feel like I'm kind of like momming the group, or like I'm always have to be like on my own or like on my best game so that other people can have fun, and it's like maybe it's just
tough.
It's just but like I'm okay with it because I don't really like to lose control like anyways. And so, but there are some times where I'm like, damn, like I wish I could just like go out and have fun and not worry and not be anxious all the time and not. But it's like I do that in other ways. Like I have fun in other ways, so it's not like horrible.
So it's kind of to each his own.
Yeah, I would. But see, like even if I was like going out and like was like, oh, like tonight, like I'm not gonna be the mom or I'm not gonna take it, I would still worry. Like it would still be in the back of my head. I don't think I could ever like fully let loose. And like I love the friends that I've met, but it's also like it's still like very new friendships.
Or when they're like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't even say like, my mom's not gonna watch this, but I don't know. You're also like figuring me like, or when our friends like they run out of drinks, they're like, we gotta find a drink, and they'll like literally drink anything they find.
Yes, like
oh my gosh, like a
bottles
like,
just being passed.
literally.
And things
Go
like
get
that.
the rubbing alcohol. I saw some in the bathroom.
They'll
No,
literally drink nail
mix it
polish
with
remover.
Kool-Aid.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
No.
Okay, they wouldn't do that. That was an over exaggerated. They
No,
won't
that's
do
fucked
that.
up,
But
man.
like,
Don't say that.
seriously, I'll
That
be
makes
like,
me nauseous.
like.
But like it's like
We
my
can DoorDash,
second
like-
night at this party, and these two girls who I barely know, they're just like taking shots of this random Everclear bottle that they found. Which, first of all, Everclear is
It's neutral grain. It's 190 proof. That
and
shit's
they took
nasty.
this one girl. I don't even know her name. Like I genuinely don't know her name, and she took one shot, and all of a sudden she is down for the count.
Yeah.
And you know, like I'm not gonna leave her, so like then I had to be the one. I'm throwing her over my shoulder, and I'm carrying her all the way back to her dorm. And you know, she was real nice, and she was real like thankful.
She was
and,
real
like,
stupid. She was real nice. But she was real stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna make that mistake again. I don't know if, but it's also it's like it's not my responsibility, but like it is kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a hard line
Yeah.
for me to do with that and like
Seriously.
drinking and stuff.
No, I had two friends at college do a line of what they thought was cocaine, straight fentanyl. Went down like flies.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Fucking lucky they didn't die.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're
that's
so lucky.
terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
because
It's
like
especially like being in the area where like don't even touch like weed without getting it
No,
from the
weed. They're
dispensary.
lacing weed.
I
You
was
gotta
about to
get
say,
your
yeah.
cocaine
Everything-
from your
everything.
doctor.
yeah.
And your weed
And that's
from
the
the
thing with
dispensary.
Don't like stop,
Denver,
don't go back to weed, but, like,
especially University of Denver, because it's like a private school and it's all like the
Yeah.
really kids with a lot of kids with like lots of money go there.
yeah.
And so
they can buy this stuff.
Yeah.
like,
That's
they
what I'm
can
saying.
afford
Like
this
you
stuff,
know
like-
that like blank frat house is like the Coke frat house, and like
Yeah.
you know where to get all this stuff. Even though I'm not like in that scene at all, I know where everything is because it's just so like almost like normalized. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just can't believe that.
Yeah. No,
Well,
it's insane.
I think that's not sign of the times. I mean, I think that's been going on forever.
And
Right.
like I try, like I'm not.
It's just very scary.
Yeah,
the
I just-
Well,
latest
now you can
out.
do like now it'll kill you.
yeah.
Now you won't have a chance. Like you only get
Yeah.
one chance. You don't get any
Mhm.
second chances. Where
Mhm.
and other times, you know, you could.
Yeah.
It was the rules could be a little bit flexible.
Yeah.
So a lot of crime going on there.
Yeah, it's really sad. Unfortunate.
Are you worried overall about the crime?
In Phoenix?
Yes, where you live in Phoenix, but overall, just like crime in general. Let's just take it like up 50,000 feet and just be like crime in general. Do you think there's more crime today than there was maybe? I mean, maybe you wouldn't know it, but like 5 years ago, I don't know, 4 years ago. Do you feel like criminals are a
I
little
would
bit
say
more brazen
yes,
today?
But again, like being 19 when I was 14.
Yeah,
I
how
didn't
do
really,
you
look
have a
around
perspective
I
on
wasn't
it,
looking
right?
around like,
Yeah,
what's this
In
crime
like
going
the
on?
most like outward perspective, like looking at like straight statistics, because this is what we talked about in criminology. Like this is what my entire thing was, is we studied like crime trends and stuff, and we learned all about it, and it was really interesting because like it was broken up into 3 different units about like how laws are made, like why, and then the response to law breaking, and then like law breaking in general. Like it was cut up into those 3. So we had to look at like all these different statistics on crime, and it looks like there is like a huge increase in crime when you look at like the past 10 years. When you look at from 2000 to like okay, maybe like 20 years, there's a huge increase. But like from the 90s, we're like down insanely. Like there was a huge drop.
Why do you think that is? What do you think's attributing to that?
I
that
took a
next
whole
semester?
course on it, and I have no idea.
Well, you better get your money back.
I mean,
Oh,
there's
fuck.
like,
your money back.
What?
but like, so there's specifically in violent crime, like violent crime has gone down a lot, which
Violent
like
crime?
it almost
You're talking
seems
about
like
murder and rape.
yeah.
and
So
assault?
violent crime is murder, rape, and assault.
Yeah.
Has gone down since the
Yeah.
1990s.
Isn't
I
that
wonder, well,
weird?
you know you were here in the 1990s, right? Sorry.
I
Or
was.
did you just turn 21?
I was here.
What would you agree with that? Like,
I was your age in 1990.
well, would you
That's
agree?
exactly your age.
Yeah.
In 1990. I was.
1990.
70. I was born 70.
That's awesome.
All right, keep going.
Would you well, if facts are facts, but
like,
would
from
you
your
believe that?
perspective,
From your
yeah.
perspective, would you?
No, I
Really
think it's
think that-
worse. I think it's
it's
worse.
Yeah,
Right.
me too. Like that's what
To
I
me,
would
I
have
don't
thought going
remember
into the
crime,
class.
but that's back to your 19 and 14
Especially with
thing.
gun
Because
crime.
I mean, I'm
Mhm.
super
You would
sensitive
think
today.
now,
There would be more.
yeah.
And there we
But
are on an
it's
upcline
interesting.
from like the 2000s. Specific, there's like there was 4 main reasons. I don't remember them all. They kind of all went on my head.
Well, I think
But one of
after
them is the increase in like just like gun access. Is the fact that it's easier and it's more fatal. So it's like back when it was just like gangs had knives and they were just like
but gun
shipping
crimes
each
have
other.
been going on for 100 years, though.
I know, but the
I mean,
accessibility to them is like, and the way they're so much more fatal. Like even with a stab wound, it was 3 times more likely to kill than a knife. So it's like there's more homicide.
But that's like the airplane
How are
argument, though.
guns more accessible now? Is
accessible
what I'm
than
1990.
Yeah, because
I
nothing's
feel like
really
if
changed.
anything, it would be harder now.
you think so?
Well, with the cultural uprising of
Mhm.
like gun control, we need gun control. Really? Like,
But do
I
we
don't-
have any gun control? Like, do we have like?
Sure, there's a ton of gun
Yeah.
control.
Do you
There's a
think,
lot more gun control
like-
than the media will give out. That's for sure.
yeah.
Because I remember going to buy a gun with my dad in Minnesota, and they're like, "Oh, do you have this? Do you have this?" And he's like, "What the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? What's this news telling me that there's no freaking gun control around?" And he had to go through.
Yeah, you can't
the
buy a gun
city
like a
and
candy
everything.
bar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I can.
You
But-
can because he's registered.
But I
and
can
he has
because I'm a
all
little bit
that.
different. But
Yours- yeah.
so, all right, let me ask you, what's the worst crime both of you have committed? Give it up right now. Let's go. Come on, you've committed some crimes. What's the worst crime you've ever committed?
I don't know.
I've like thought about shoplifting, but I haven't because I'm too scared.
You never stole anything ever?
No, I'm
Never
way
stolen
too
anything?
scared. I'm so scared that I'll get caught. I am anxiety ridden. My entire body is filled with anxiety. Like I just
Just so you know, if you decide to go and steal something now, you're gonna get caught for sure.
Yeah.
Because you
would never get
thought
away with it.
you're
Yeah.
never gonna get away with it.
No.
You're too deep into it
I'm
now.
trying to think.
Come on, you committed crime. What's the worst crime you've ever committed?
Crime I've ever committed.
You committed something. Everybody's committed crime.
Yeah.
I'm
Jaywalked.
I'm not
I don't
relating
know.
it to murder, but
I don't know. All I can say is thank God underage drinking is not illegal because that would just freaking suck.
well, technically it.
I'm just messing with you, Greg. I always say that. I'm like, oh my
Okay.
gosh, can you imagine if having a fake
got
ID?
me.
Can you
was
imagine if
illegal?
that was like
If
actually
having
a
a fake ID
crime?
was illegal, that would just freaking suck. My whole social life would be
Right.
gone.
That would be bad.
I wouldn't have one anymore.
It'd be bad. You have 11 months,
Yeah.
10 months to go.
Yeah.
I got a while.
Yeah, you're doing
Well,
that. You
it's
just
alright.
turned 18. That's insane.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I want to answer this question. What's the worst crime I've ever committed? But I can't think of it. The only thing I can think of was like probably a couple weekends ago.
It didn't have to be recent. I was thinking like when you were like 10, I stole a candy bar from the gas station. But okay, yeah, we'll go with a couple weeks ago. What happened?
Yeah. There's nothing like too much on my mind, so that's probably a good thing. There isn't like one thing where I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's not like
You're not always looking
glaring
over your shoulder.
thing.
What?
You're not looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Waiting for the
Popo's coming to
authorities.
get you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
What happened a couple weeks ago?
Probably like
Allegedly. Let's just say, how about
allegedly.
this? Allegedly. What? Let's absolutely use that. I apologize for not pre-qualifying it that way.
Well, I don't know.
Allegedly, what's the worst crime you may have
technically,
ever committed?
I didn't commit this crime.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was my car that this crime was committed with.
Oh.
Well,
I
it
didn't
was
think about
basically just I got off work late, and I was gonna go to this party, my friend's party. My friend was hosting this party, so I was like, yeah, of course, like I'll go, like whatever. Then like my friends wanted to leave, my roommate and our other neighbor, so I was like, yeah, we can leave. But they were originally just gonna take my car and go home because Uber's really expensive, and I was gonna stay. But then I didn't have any alcohol, so I was like, I'm just gonna go. So I end up in the backseat of my car, and she reversed. She's sober, like has not drank anything, and still like bumps into this other car. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? She's like, it's fine. Like it's literally I didn't even hit it, and then we just drove away.
Oh yeah.
Which I would be so pissed. But the thing is that's in Phoenix. That has happened to me so many times, and they run away. I have so many dings on my car. It's so annoying. So technically, I was like, well, now like
karma.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I
was
feel
gonna
really
say,
bad because I feel really bad about it. Because I was like, and they were like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And I didn't do it, but it was my car, so I feel kind of bad.
All right,
Other than
that's
that,
fair.
I've probably stolen like a pair of sunglasses.
7 or 8 times or just once?
Probably like twice.
All right.
But I don't really like stealing. I'm always like, that's for poor people. Like, I don't need to do that. Like, I
the
just
little
don't like it.
people.
It's just like immoral. And I don't know. But I don't really like stealing. A lot of people like do it a lot. And I'm like,
Especially if you
Have
like don't. What?
Have you ever stolen anything?
No, I told you I'm
You've
so
never
scared.
stolen? You've never taken anything? Like you've
No.
never
you've
taken
never
I'm, like,
actually
trying
like
to
ate
You've
something
never
in
taken,
a store and
never
forgot
taken
it.
anything that's
No.
not yours?
Do you ever like go to the store and like just
Like
like
this-
see a chocolate milk and like open it and drink it and then pay for it at the end and be like, and then
No.
forget to
That's
pay
not
for it?
stealing.
You've
Oh,
never
forget.
stolen like a
Yeah.
donut from
Or a-
Cub?
or-
Oh,
or
mom might have.
traffic
Mom might
cone.
have alleged. Oh.
Or a
My mom would
traffic
always
cone.
forget. She's like, I forgot to pay for those 3 donuts you ate. Like,
Sometimes we have to remind folks of
I was gonna
things
say,
that happen in
okay.
their life.
So
What-
allegedly, I have stolen a few traffic cones before.
oh,
but
now
that-
we're getting.
Now we're getting the truth.
Yeah.
I
expand.
totally
Let's
forgot.
expand. Tell us what did you do?
Well, okay, so
Tell
there
us.
was 2 times. The first time was like just with my friends, and it was we were just driving. I don't know. I was in the backseat of someone's car, and they were like, "Take that traffic cone." And I was like, "Okay."
What was it? Like an orange cone, like a plastic?
It was
orange
like
cone?
the first one was just like the smaller ones. That
You
just,
need one in here. That's what you're missing.
Oh,
I
it's
could
in-
totally
it's-
see
isn't
that.
it in my
well, you're
room?
fine. Yeah, keep
No, you
going.
t-
keep
took
going,
it for
keep
your-
going. And so
But the second time, so I'm on my way home from a volleyball game, and I'm like by myself, whatever. And I'm driving on this road, and there's like a ton of them lined up because like they're doing construction.
What they look like? Describe them.
It was those giant ones that have like the weights in the bottom.
The barrels.
The barrels.
Where is it now?
So
Yeah, where's it now?
Yeah.
so I took it, whatever, and I had it here, and I was like, Dad, look what I got. And he was not very happy, but then he put it out in our street to like tell people to like slow down, like with your driving and
Yeah.
stuff, because people drive past this street so fast.
Yeah.
And but then the police
Kind with
came.
the blinking light on it.
Yeah.
That's how big it was.
But then the police
Right?
Oh
came.
my god.
And they were like, and I wasn't home. This is all from.
Again, this is all allegedly.
Yes,
Yeah.
obviously. I would never
Sunglasses,
actually do this.
Car bumping. All this stuff's alleged.
And they're like, do you know where this cone is from? And he's like, no, I mean, it just was out here one day.
This is
Like,
property
it's
of
just-
Burnsville on it.
Yeah, it just was. It was just all of a sudden
Don't
out
know how I
here.
got here.
And then they were like, all right, like if you like happen to like figure out who like this is, like let us know. And then allegedly we just went and like dumped it somewhere.
Yeah.
On a road.
But
Maybe.
I missed that
Awesome.
cone. It was a good cone.
You
And it
missed
was
that cone.
heavy.
Did you name it?
No.
That's so
It was a good cone. I was
It's
gonna
a lot
like
of-
cover it with like tinsel for for Christmas. I had
So
plans.
allegedly, we've stolen from construction sites sunglasses, and we've hit and run.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've never like killed anybody.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
like-
when you put it in that perspective.
yeah. So
That's the
I
thing
think
is,
it's
it's
like,
like-
we haven't
Kudos to you.
really done anything bad.
Like that, yeah. Like, I don't think I deserve jail time for allegedly.
Yeah.
All
They
right,
can't prove it.
Yeah.
your turn.
Oof.
Pick a subject. Pick a category. Pick whatever you want,
Okay.
and we'll dive right in.
I'm trying to think of something that like.
Can you see that from there too?
Yeah.
Is this in your way? This.
Oh no, I can see the number one is sex. Yes.
Okay.
Can
Can you see number 2?
yes,
Can
money.
you still see it there? All right.
Let's go with 40, or like just like
Where's 40?
religion in general. 'Cause,
Well,
like
wait,
we were talking
religion
about.
is on here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
14,
see that.
but do you want to go with God specifically?
No, let's
That
talk
breaks
about
it down. We can
14.
talk about God. We can talk about her if you want.
No, I want to talk about 14, just like
You wanna talk about
religion, the
religion?
idea of it in general, and
Well, I'm gonna pick the question.
I know,
You just get to pick that.
I know, I'm just.
What would you consider yourself? What kind of religion would you consider yourself? What's your background? Maybe not what's your
Okay.
background. I don't care what your background is. What would you consider
Okay.
yourself? No, I mean, seriously, like what what
like
would you say?
genuinely?
Yeah, if someone said to you, "Tell me about your religious background or your beliefs or what do you believe? How would you define
I
yourself?"
usually say like, I usually say agnostic, and just that it's like I believe that something bigger is out there, but I don't believe in like the Bible or like that there's like one God or like institutionalized religion. Like that's like my big like.
Yeah, I agree. What if we end up agreeing on more things? 'Cause I feel like
Okay,
I've honestly.
before we all hug
yeah.
here, hold on a second.
Dad's like, no, let's rile this up.
No.
She's
we're
like
not
my
there yet.
second sister.
Yeah, come on.
All right.
Okay, we gotta find
Sisters here. All right, so you would say, so you said agnostic, which is you believe in a higher power. I think this is how it's defined. A higher power, but not a definitive,
Yeah.
specific,
And
organized
like,
sector of specific religion.
and like, although I am like really, and I do like believe in like a lot of people like get the wrong idea when I say like witchcraft, but like I do believe in like crystals and like I do enjoy that stuff, and I do enjoy like manifestation, things like that. But like I don't consider myself Wiccan or like pagan because I still don't like the idea of a confined like.
So that's more
religion.
organized.
Yeah.
Okay, so because you got to explain that to everybody. So because some people may not understand
Yeah.
that what that means. So,
I'm not like casting spells. I just.
well, I think people's first stereotypical image when you say witch is like, you
Yeah.
know, like Wizard of Oz, and you're riding
Yeah.
around a broom and you're got green skin and a wart, and you're just like, meh, my pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what stereotypically
yeah.
people think. Or they think of, you know, back in the 1600s when they burned witches
Yes.
at a stake, which, you know, so, which you wouldn't define any of it like that.
No,
It's not like that.
I just think it's a very.
How about
and-
sorcerer? What's the difference between a sorcerer and a witch?
See, I don't even. That's the thing is like I
You're not
feel like
really
I'm
sure?
so like I'm not educated enough on like Wiccan and pagan like history and things like that I wouldn't want to define myself as that, or like even like being a witch, like I wouldn't define myself as that. But there are like things that I like to do that like fall into that category. Like I make
Like,
little jars like full of herbs and don't make
I was,
fun of me.
I was, no, I'm not. I was gonna make fun. I was gonna say, you're like, I am into just getting a piece of hair of every person I meet, and I have made a few dolls. But besides that, no, I'm just fucking with you. So, all right. So you don't want to be confined even in that.
Because
perspective.
there are parts of it that like I probably don't agree with if I did go that deep. Like I don't like the idea of someone saying this is the wrong and right way to believe. Like that's my big thing that I don't like about institutionalized religion. And like I don't know, just like because it is in, especially I would say in like the US, like one of like the more popular like Christian like institutionalized religion, like I don't like the idea that there's like a big priest and he's somehow more connected to God than like I am, or like
Right. Who
that
the
I do. Yeah,
fuck
like
does he think
who
he is?
gets to say that in my
Yeah.
mind? But I still like to connect to something bigger than myself. Like I don't just
Yeah, do
believe.
you, I mean, do you
that
genuinely believe that
Yeah.
there is something bigger than us as human
Yeah.
species of human beings? Like there is something,
Yeah.
whether it's ET or whatever it is.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think there's something looking at. Like I believe that like everything happens for a very specific reason. And I like the idea. I really wrestle with the idea, and I'd actually like your guys' opinions on it. Of, do you think that like our like fate is like planned out, or like our destiny is planned out, or do you think we decide that? Like we get to decide.
You answer that first.
I think we always get to decide.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I think there's a fate that you're destined or planned for. Like
Mhm.
you have this potential,
Yeah.
but I just think our actions, we have that free will where we will
Mhm.
absolutely. I don't believe like spiritually like that God, whoever he is, like
Mhm.
intervenes with life on earth. Like
Mhm.
I don't believe like in prayer
Yeah.
or and it's so different from what I used to believe.
Mm.
It's totally transformed. Like I just don't believe
So what did you used to believe? Did you grow up
Christian.
You
And
grew
I
up
was the
Christian
only
and very specific,
kid, yeah.
organized.
And it wasn't very like my family didn't make me do any of that. I was the
Right.
only one of my siblings who got confirmed, and that was by choice. And
Yeah.
now
That's
it's
cool.
it's really truly has changed. Like I'm spiritual, like I like believing in something, but I'm not like as religious as I think I once was.
Like crying and
Yeah.
praying really ain't gonna do you any good.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
I always
When the levee breaks,
the
crying and
biggest
praying
thing that
ain't gonna
just
do you no
changed
good.
it for me is if like God, like in the Christian like aspect, like knows what is gonna happen tomorrow and next week and a year from now and 100 years from now. Why am I praying, asking him to change something if he already knows what's gonna happen?
Right.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
And
So
why
why am
does
I
it-
like being like, God, can I please get a new puppy dog? I don't know.
And
Like,
Yeah.
For example, like he already knows, like it's not gonna change anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I've always just kind of like thought like that, but I think like having a relationship like spiritually in that positive like way is
Mhm.
really good for like humanity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think people who like just shut it all out and be like God's not real live very like miserable like lives and everything.
No,
and I think like
because I used to.
yeah, like, you live really like they're just like there's no point
Mhm.
to life. Like
that's a tough way to live.
it's tough.
It's
Like
gotta be
believe in
tough.
something is what I always think, and I think it benefits you a lot.
Yeah.
So I think as far as like for Christianity, like yeah, there's a lot of errors in it, but I also think Christians do like the good Christians get
Mhm.
slammed or like
Yeah.
they're like oh they're all bad. They're
Mhm.
pretty like good people. I've never really met like some
Yeah.
negative nasty, but of course like everybody you can't generalize everybody.
Yeah.
There's
Sure.
horrible people everywhere.
There's bad
Mhm.
police, there's
Yeah.
bad judges, there's
But
bad
Mhm.
doctors,
those
there's
people
bad
who
mailmen.
grow up in Christian like home, well,
Mhm.
not all of them, I can't say it, but they live really great lives and
Yeah.
they stay married and they have good children
Mhm.
and they are happy. Or they're happier than a lot of people and everything. And so I totally support it and everything, but I've just found too many. I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
'cause
saying. So
that's why, like, cause like I did like 360s about 4 times in my life, where I
Yeah.
was super like against all religion. Like I thought it was a complete sham. Specifically though, like Catholic Christian religion, because
Yeah.
like coming out as like queer, like I don't know, and not that it's not true for a lot of queer people, because I know that it is true for a lot of queer people, that they get shamed and things like that. But I just like went along with it, and I assumed that like everyone was like that. And I still like sometimes like when I step into a church, I get like a tight feeling sometimes, because I'm like I don't know if these people are judging me or not.
You don't
But
want to touch that holy water because you're afraid it's gonna
Yeah.
burn.
yeah, they're gonna know and everyone's gonna know and be looking
Yeah,
It's gonna
but
turn to
then
blood.
I like, I'm trying to think. This was probably, it was when we were still in school, so it had to have been early sophomore year. I was going through like a really bad time with my depression. Like it had just been so bad, and I did not know what to do. And I have like a lot of like Christian friends who are like in FCA and like things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, can you guys like show me like some stuff? So I did try it. Like,
yeah.
and I was
And that's
very,
great, because
yeah.
seriously,
Because I was
just
like, I
having an
can't
open mind,
knock
because
it completely.
And one I think I said this on the last podcast is what's really changed my perspective. But I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you. I'm
no,
gonna let
you're
you
good.
get back to this because like God is real. It's about finding out who God is. You know what I'm saying? Like we come from the same source no matter what.
Yeah.
Like we are provided by a source, and it's just discovering what that is.
No,
But
I love that idea of like that, like there is
who is
like,
God, like finding out who is God. It's
and
self,
it can
it's
be
about
different
self-discovery.
for everyone. Because when I was younger, like I used to, like my Aunt Linda, like I used to, instead of, because I felt like guilty praying to God because like I didn't know if like he liked me or not.
Or she.
Or she, yeah. But like because like I didn't grow up Christian, or like I didn't grow up like super religious either, so like I didn't really know, so I would just like talk to my Aunt Linda as if she was like my God and things like that, and I think that worked because it was like it was just something to believe in. It was like someone who's looking out for me, and I think that's like such a good, but anyways, so like I tried it, and I really went into it. And but it's still like didn't,
like you
gives
talked
you
to her
some
every
purpose.
day when nobody was around. Everybody was around.
No,
you had
mean,
conversations with her. All like you like talked to your hand. Hi.
I mean, like I went to FCA, which is fellow Christian athletes at our school, and I went to church with like some of my friends and things like that, and I really tried, but it still didn't feel right. And then I almost felt guilty because it was like, well, shit, if that didn't work, like what's gonna work? And it took me a really long time to like get to the place I am. And then this past summer, one of my friends from DP, who like I got really close with, she is like a very like devout Christian, and I mean she's awesome, and she invited me to church, and she like sent me this big prayer. She was like, it's like totally okay if like you don't feel comfortable coming, but like I just like want to let you know. And it was
nice.
Great experience. Like
That's
I went
cool.
with her,
Yeah.
and it was a great experience, and I had a great time, and it didn't mean that I was like I'm now like converted.
What church was it?
It was what's the one?
River Valley?
Yeah,
Was
it was just River Valley.
Also, I've been there a lot too. Like even their sermons, like you could just connect it to whatever spiritual guidance. Because it's all very positive and encouraging and welcoming. And
it didn't feel like they were like I was in like the pews and as if they were being like, you like sin
We
and all
know
these.
you. We got your pictures on the back of the church office, like the post office
I was
wanted.
like, oh, like this is. It was just like a place to like praise and to almost like feel like gratitude for what I had, and it was really great. And I just feel like I'm at like such a better place with it now of like I don't hold all this anger and resentment towards like if like the Christian God or like things like that. Like I don't hold that anymore like I used to. Like I remember when my parents made me go to church one Christmas Eve, and it was right after our grandma had died. And I was so mad because we only ever went to church for her. Like we went to this Catholic mass, and I was so mad. And I like put in my headphones, and I was listening to like punk music the entire time. And I'm wearing this like mini skirt and like things like that.
Jamming out to the Ramones.
And I just held so much like hate and hurt, and like I just don't have that anymore. Like it's still not my jam, and it's not what I believe in, but it's like I don't know, I'm a lot more at peace with it now.
That's cool.
And I respect that too, because honestly, like in the last year or two, I've been like so like analyzing like Christianity as a whole, and I get really upset with like the Bible, how it's like if you do not accept Jesus as your savior, you're gonna go to hell or heaven and all that. And I've been like, I just don't believe in that regardless. So if Jesus is real, okay, sure, but that's not true. Because when you think about how horrible humanity has been in like the 1600s and the 1700s and the 1800s, even in like right when the Bible is being written, how horrible humanity was. They were most definitely using hell as a fear tactic, and I think that's what
for their agenda and their narrative.
No, absolutely. It's all about fear and controlling. So when they say the stuff about homosexuality as well, like it's just. It was based on, I think it comes with good like intentions, but they also put in those other things for order because they didn't actually have like the resources to, make those governments and that order and everything. So hell is just such a fear tactic in the Bible. But people today who still like push that and everything, I'm like, I'm sorry. Like when you think of all the unfair things that have happened in this world,
we could be in hell right now. And like what?
and all that stuff, and then they just are freaking dying, and then they go burn in hell for.
Right.
Like, shut up.
And
like, that's not true.
Not that I'm a big Jesus guy, but like at the same time, my opinion is I don't think Jesus really would have spread that message. I don't think he spread that
Yeah.
message.
Exactly.
He was like, if you want to chill with me, that's awesome, man. This is my deal. This is
Yeah.
what I think I got going on. And if you want to do it, great. And if you don't, that's all right too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
I don't-
that's the
Like-
big part of like the institutionalized that they
Yeah.
use it to
Correct.
control. Like they
Yeah.
use it as a control
Yeah.
aspect, and that's what I don't agree with more than the fact that like they believe in a God. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I'm mad
And it's
about.
like,
or-
God like loves you more than your mother and father love you.
Correct.
And everything or anything.
It's
They're not
very
gonna look at
intense.
this person. So dare I like bring up, my father who has passed on, who died terribly of cancer. And God looks at him and be like, yeah, booted, like you're gone. Like, are you fucking like I would be pissed. And
Such
for the other
bull.
thing is like I'm not going to heaven if my dad's not there. Like, bye. Like, I'll go with him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go sit in heaven and be like, oh, this is such a great time. Like, I wonder how my dad's. Like, no one's gonna do that. How
Guess
can
you're
you
over
go-
here. I'm over
If
here.
that ideology is correct, how are you
Yes.
gonna go to heaven and just know that people are burning in hell? Like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That just like throws the whole thing.
How is
out
that
for me.
like
Right.
the good?
know.
No,
And I truly believe,
completely
like,
agree.
Sure, if Jesus was real and he was a good man, because he did have very good, sermons and good, just positive things that he contributed, like love thy neighbor and all
Yeah.
He had
this.
positive
great
vibes,
thing.
man.
Absolutely,
Jesus was a badass dude.
And they just like
real or
twisted
not,
him.
yeah.
well, yeah.
And they absolutely did
They-
that to him. There's also
They do that to people nowadays.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
There are good people.
yeah.
People twist for their own intentions.
Absolutely. So that kind of was just like, yeah, like
No, for sure.
if you love like I loved my dad, and I can't even imagine how much God, whoever he is,
Yeah.
must have loved him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
And if he didn't, then God was screwed.
yeah, then God's just like whack, bro.
God's full of shit then.
Come on.
Jeez.
I don't
All
know,
right.
I would just, that was a good one.
Go ahead. We'll go on. What's the next category? It's your balls in your court. Came over the net. Is there anything else you want to add?
No,
You want to
that
add
was
anything
great.
else to that? Because we'll add.
Only thing I would say about like twisting him as well is like, how we all think of like Jesus supposedly as like a white man, and
Right.
how it's coming out like when you realize like where he was located like in the world, you realize like
Yes.
he wasn't the kind of how do I say this, whiteness in there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Caucasian?
like
They
it's
kind of took
very
away
Like-
like his real like aesthetic, like which also just pissed me off. That's the only thing that I would really like add about
No,
that. And
yeah,
it's just,
because definitely in the way that it's almost like whitewashing Jesus.
Yes.
Because
Uh-huh.
it's like you think of you would know more than me of where his like I don't know why I can't think of like the cities in the Bible.
Jerusalem?
Bethlehem.
Born
Yeah.
in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lived
like
in Jerusalem.
like
Yeah, that's more like Middle East.
like
It
that
is.
is
It's
Middle
hardcore Middle
Eastern.
East, yeah.
No.
So like I don't know why they
Yeah,
then-
and then they
well, I
use,
know why, but-
and people will use the Bible to justify racism and
Yeah.
homophobia and all this stuff, and I'm like,
it's like babe.
not all of them. Not all of them. Again, we've decided
Yes.
spirituality and I don't want to say religion, but I would say like relationship, like spirituality is a positive thing, good thing, very
Oh,
good
yeah.
for people, and I encourage it.
Like just having something to believe in.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, especially with
believe in something.
like and it can be anything. Just like
Yeah.
believe in it.
Believe in your little rocks that you lay out.
Yeah,
in the sun
exactly.
sometimes.
And
Just
that's the
believe in
thing is
something.
like
Yeah.
people like cuz I've been made fun of
Yeah.
like or at least like the little like
No.
teasings and stuff. But it's like sometimes it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? That's just it makes
I
me
know, 'cause
feel
this
better
world
like
will fail you. And these people will
exactly.
turn their backs.
Like
You need something
holding
so consistent.
holding
regardless of what
Tiger's
that
Eye
is.
and holding this little rock in my hand. You know what? It makes me feel more confident because
Yeah,
it said it
so
gives me
absolutely.
confidence. So like
Yeah.
why is that such a problem for some other people? I don't.
You think so? Would you say that tolerance is probably the number one thing, that attribute that we should have as human
Having
beings?
tolerance for other people. What do you mean by tolerance? I like
Just
maybe-
accepting people for who they are.
Yeah,
'Cause they're not going to change.
I
They're not
guess
gonna
within
respect you when
parameters.
you- Yeah.
Not like,
I was just
oh, I kill people. Okay, I accept you. Not like that.
Yeah.
I think that's where it gets hard. Is that it's hard then to figure out where is that line of tolerance, and we don't. And there's no way that all of us will ever agree. I feel like on like a simple line of tolerance. And so like what might be tolerant, you showing tolerance for people, other people might see that as like not enough or like not enough tolerance. I think that's where like a lot of
Conflict,
crash happens.
right?
Or they'll take it as
Agreed.
criticism. They'll get very fun of
Right. Or if you
Yeah.
screw with my agenda,
Then I'm gonna screw
Yeah.
with yours.
correct. It's a way of waging war and maybe a way of survival.
Yeah.
Right, it's a matter of survival. So if my little tribe or my group feels offended, and we can't be tolerant of you because you're going to take over our tribe then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
just you'll never let anybody know if they're right. It's so
Yeah.
hard sometimes.
yeah,
You'll be stubborn. Not
It's
gonna
tough.
let you have it. Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough to live that way. It's tough to.
That's like a bit. Well, I guess tolerance and like being stubborn is like a very like two sides of a coin and
Right.
stuff of which one.
All right, go ahead. What do we got? Let's do another category. Let's do something
What
else.
should we pick?
What shall we pick?
Do.
I don't know.
do
I
we
feel
wanna
like
do?
you should pick something that you think we would disagree on. Both of us.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've really like agreed
I
on
know.
stuff like the whole time.
Horrible
Like
that
that
you
wasn't
guys
really
agree.
like I know.
Well,
But I think now that we found some common ground,
Yeah,
like, it'll
maybe
also
it will
like make us like
maybe
a
you
lot
feel more comfortable with each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so
Totally.
I will
starting
not
out with
lie. I
something
was
where we'd be
semi-scared
like-
coming into this. You
Yeah.
should see my dad. I was like,
Why are you so scared?
I don't know. I just get really flustered, I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes. And I think being in college, though, has helped like a lot. Like, I feel like I've grown a lot this last quarter
Yeah.
about being more, like, it's so much more important to be, like, level-headed almost and, like, to, like, not have that, like, screaming match and
Yeah.
to not be so quick to pounce on people. Because, like,
Yeah.
I will fully admit that, like, in the past, I am a very quick, like, I pounce on someone or
Yeah.
like they say one thing and it's like, okay, now I already got everything in my head and I'm trying to like undo that a
Yeah.
lot. And that's why I really like having like these discussions and stuff.
Mhm.
And
I respect
especially
that a lot, like the self growth. Not
It's-
a lot of
it's
people
hard,
can
though.
do that. It really is. No, I feel that too. I think like this past semester, I've been focusing a lot more on like my mental health, where I've kind of like I used to like always be so up to date with politics and stuff, where I've just kind of been like I don't even have time for that crap
Yeah.
right now. Where I've just kind of been like like breathing a little
Sometimes
bit
you need a
more,
break.
and then absolutely just being like they might have a point, or I don't really see that view, or I'm getting pissed off with all this fighting and crap.
and it's
shit,
hard to
especially,
not
yeah.
be so like defensive right away. Like
Yeah.
that because I know that this is one of like my biggest flaws. Is like I'm a huge defensive person. And like if I feel like you are attacking something that like I like really strongly believe in or like I really love or I'm passionate about, I get really defensive. And so I'm
what's-
trying to like
What's the number one thing you are passionate about? Number one thing. What's your number one thing right
Yeah.
now that you're passionate
right
about?
now.
Yeah, right now, not like 3 years ago. Today, right now.
Oh my gosh, now I don't know. You put me on the spot. I have to think cuz like I don't know if like my education, I feel like that's not like right though. Like I'm
Wow.
really
What do you?
I'm really big on the actually no, I know what I'm cuz like as like a constant stream of mine, like number like 4 like love is always like my like I am but it's like I don't know, it's like kind of like a light topic to talk about then. It's like a very
You're
Like, what do you
passionate
mean
about love?
yeah, I think love is the in my mind
what love?
it is almost like
Romantic
my
love?
god. Like love, no, like all types. Like
So just general love, like 60s love.
like
which,
yeah,
I don't know,
having
like
love
hippie
and
love?
connections with people. Like
yeah.
people
So you're
that,
kind
or
of like
things?
anti-hookup culture
people
and stuff.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Wait a
Oh
minute.
my God. I
Wait,
don't
hold
think-
on. Explain that. Hold on. What do you mean anti-hookup culture? What's
I
that?
think like our generation, our divorce rate is gonna be like 90%. Like I don't think anyone is gonna stay married. I think we're all gonna have
Do you think
horrible
y-
children. Like I know you think it's so.
Do you think you holy shit?
I,
Do
like,
you
you
think
don't
you're gonna
look
get
up
married
all-
in the first place? Because you guys seem to me like you're pretty engaged. Like you're like,
don't-
fuck it, I'm not gonna get married.
Well,
Why would I do
yeah,
that?
I have seen, but like
What's the point of
I
making?
want to get
so-
married, but I like.
You do want to get
I
married?
do want to get
Mhm.
married. I think like having a successful family is like my number one goal in my life.
that is the
Well,
exact
define
same.
successful family.
Like
What is that?
married
I mean,
parents who love and support each other, and then they have kids who they love and support, and they get along,
Mm-hmm.
and they like everyone in the family, and you have happy holidays.
Nope.
And you
Yeah,
have a
that's
couple,
exactly
few
it.
dogs. Like I just that to me is like my American dream. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I just
And
think
I get a
our-
lot of shit for. Well, okay, I don't get a lot of shit for that, But I will admit, because like obviously,
You say that you agree with that? What she said?
oh yeah, that's like my number. I know it's like
Tony, you gotta pick a
you
really
guys are
heated
like
topic.
high or something.
it's so
What the
out
fuck is
of
going on here?
character for me. And
Yeah.
it's the
I
same thing
mean,
with like religion, where like I went through this
I
thing.
want to explore that. Keep going, but I want to explore that.
where
more.
like I went through this really big like. I don't want to say like feminist phase because like I still very much so am a feminist, but like this like I want to go against everything normal. Like I want to be completely different. I don't want to like get married. I don't blah 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 blah. I don't want kids. Kids are stupid. Blah blah blah. And a big part of that was like I just like that was the idea of like in my mind of like a badass woman, or like I was like that's like
that
cool.
defines a badass woman.
Well,
but
that's what I thought. And
Okay.
then as like I've grown up, I don't know, it's like I've tried that, and I've tried to be like the like cool like take back like the word slut, and like, you know, like I can hook up with whoever I want and things like that, which still like I fully believe that for women, but like I know that that's not what I want. Like I've just come to realize like what I do, I want a big farm, and I want this big family, and I want this like big traditional thing. And I've come to realize that like me wanting to be like a stay-at-home mom, or like to be like a teacher, and to be more into like these feminine things, like it's not anti-feminist of me. It's not like me just, it is partly me conforming to society, but it's what's gonna make me happy. And in the end, like I like, okay, I'm gonna be around for like hopefully around like 80 years, 90 years, and I just like I don't want to spend that whole time miserable just because I'm trying to go against society.
Maybe, can I say, maybe it's because of like the expectation where you're like, fuck you, or mothers or women have to do this and do this and provide for their family, and you're like, fuck, I'm not gonna do any of that shit because you just told me that. I want to do it because I want to
do it.
Yes, exactly.
And that leads me to my next thing is I think like the pressure of like women getting married at like 25 and starting a family scares the shit out of me. I am 20 years old. I do not think I'm sorry, like I am so fucking scared of that pressure. Like,
no, that's so real.
And like being 25, like 5 years from now, I'm gonna like be married. Like I don't know. And I think like honestly, what people like women in general need to do is they need to like scratch that, because the moment they start forcing themselves or ourselves into relationships, that's when we get divorced like 2 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That goes back to what I said, though.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you're saying that we're all going to get divorced, but
Exactly. 'Cause
why
I
are
think
you going to
that
get married in the
pressure-
first place if
Well,
you're
I
already
think
saying that?
pressure
I think that
on-
pressure's-
I think it's the pressure.
we are
It's
very
like,
rare
you
in
find
this, I'd
somebody you
say.
can tolerate and you love and you care about, but it's just like, oh, holy shit, I'm 28 years old, I'm not
like,
married.
oh,
like, what
I
do
have
do
to
with
start
my
having
life?
kids, and like I don't want to get married till like
yeah.
my 30s.
What
I
happens
wanna-
when you do that, though? What happens when you check that box and then you do that? And then what
You find
happens
out you're
later on
freaking
in life?
miserable and you actually hate yourself in the middle, you're in a midlife crisis.
Then what the fuck do you do?
Then you gotta start all over.
Yeah.
And
that's just a very scary, hard thing for people. And
in
also,
general,
like our culture, like our hookup culture today, like
I hate it
how
so
we just like we don't know what real love is anymore, real commitment. We all cheat on each other. We don't care about each other. We don't like look at people with like pure eyes, like,
and like
genuinely.
I fully like support the idea of, you know, like, yeah, if you don't want to get married, don't get married. Like, if that's not your vibe, like, no one should be forced into having either lifestyle, you know? Like, I am like a relationship type of person, and so like I shouldn't then be forced to go into this hookup culture. And people who do just want to be more free spirits and do just want to like hook up or whatever and not be tied down, they shouldn't be forced into a relationship.
Or I hate when people say like, oh, I just want to have fun in my 20s. Like, I just want to
to find my person,
have sex with a million people. Like, that's what your 20s are. I'm like, shut up. That's so dumb.
You know, what are you saying? You're not gonna have fun at 30?
Yeah.
And when you turn 30,
Yeah.
you're fucking your life's
That-
over.
No, that's
That's
such
stupid.
a huge thing, though,
So-
that I think is important about age, and especially in this generation, is that we feel like our life is ending at like 28. That like that the
Well,
minute we turn 28, the minute we
we
turn.
all, I don't think that you're alone in that.
But I feel like it's because
I didn't think I'd
people
make it
are
to 30.
achieving things so much younger now. Like people, you hear about like kids who've like invented a new drug and like blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
And like
whatever.
I don't, and maybe that's just like the whole like gifted child, and like I've always been like a
But
straight A student. in
those
me
have always
is,
been
like,
around, though.
it's like that pressure is just so intense. Maybe it's because the social
Well-
media, and like I can see it now so
Yeah.
much
Or-
more.
Where did I see
You have
this
access to it all the time. It never
statistic?
stops.
Yeah.
You might have to fact check this, but I just saw it because I saw it on TikTok. But it was
Yeah.
like people talking in
Fact
a
check.
podcast. It was a people in I know. So maybe
He's
sometimes
fact
I get-
checking it. Go ahead.
But where it was gonna be
He's
like
fact checking it.
20 years from now, like women 25 to 40, like it's gonna be like 40% of them are single with no kids.
Yeah.
Or like that is just like our birth rate is going down, but that's also gonna be like women are gonna be single, like they're not gonna have children. It's gonna be like 40%, like ages 25 to 40 will be like unwedded and childless.
I don't know. I
how to
don't
even
agree.
Google
I don't
this
think
is
that's
it.
gonna happen because I think there's a
people aren't
survival
hungry,
instinct
yeah.
in that as human beings, and the only way to really survive is to keep procreating, or else we're not gonna continue on.
Probably
I mean,
be good if
we'll all
women
die.
were not procreating as high of rates.
Well, there's that argument
like,
We
too.
got a lot of people on this.
We got a
planet.
lot of
Sometimes
people.
I'm like, why is like the birth rate?
There's
like,
also a lot of disparity,
so-
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like people that have so much, and there's so many people that have
So
nothing.
little.
Yeah.
So there.
So I don't really understand why people are like, oh, it's a bad thing that our birth rate is going down. I'm like,
I know, I would
no,
almost-
but we got like 8 billion people on this planet. I mean,
I don't
that's
think
a
it's
I
ever
mean,
going to go
I
to zero.
feel
I mean, all you got to do is
so,
have
like-
sex. He's a little, and then you have a baby, so we can start. Hey, how am I going?
Yeah,
here?
it's not that
Yeah,
But
and
wait,
we
but
can
back
we can reproduce
especially
pretty
when
easy.
like children are getting made in like labs or like laboratories.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I mean that's.
I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, when I
no.
did this, I meant like, oh, pour the beaker together and create a little
That's
baby.
gonna be how it's gonna be going.
Yeah, pretty
now.
much. We'll just do it on our computer. We'll just.
We'll be
I will
like,
do it on
like
our.
Sims.
boy or girl.
We'll do it on our. We'll do it on our 3D printers. We'll just print up a little baby. It'll be good to go.
That's freaking-
So,
With
but
a
back
3D
to
printer.
yeah,
Kids will be born now.
right. You just throw it in
They're
the
all like
computer.
actually like pure white. Like they're like no one has any color anymore.
We're all laughing,
Like,
but we're all laughing, but we are all still kind to the robots. Remember, say please
Yeah,
and thank you, because the
we-
robots will remember that. The bots will fuck you up later on.
Thank you.
Okay. So back to what you were saying. I wanted to make a point on what you were saying about, you know, the whole like, oh well, yeah, I check a box when I'm 28 and I don't want to have to do that, and then later on in life, then it's like, oh, then you get fucked up. But what happens like in any aspect of life? It doesn't really matter when that you go and do something, and then it just you change as a human being. Doesn't mean that it's bad, but you just change as a human being.
Yeah.
You evolve, or you grow, or you.
I mean, college is a good
de-evolve.
example. Like
College-
people who transfer,
I mean, we-
people who don't.
Yeah,
go
we
after the
change
first year.
constantly throughout life. Is
Yeah.
that bad?
Well, and I think when people get married, they like don't like take that into account. I think when you do like get married, you got to understand like we're constantly going to be changing. You're picking somebody you're going to grow with, and that is like the true commitment.
What happens when you don't, though?
When
You
you
That's-
don't
grow
grow together.
apart, and then you're
Yeah.
divorced, and
Right,
And then you have to start
you
all
failed
over
at life
again.
and you're a loser.
right. That's what I'm
kidding.
getting at. Right.
yeah, but
And you mean
and I don't think
nothing.
divorce is a bad thing because divorce is always going to happen. I just think our divorce rates are definitely going to go up, and I think that's unfortunate because I think there's so many blessings that come out of like married united families, and I'm not saying there can't be with like broken families and then they go off and get remarried.
But like
I'm
it
not saying
is
that, but I'm
going back
saying
to like the crime
there's
thing
something
too.
so
Yeah.
special about like having two parents in the home and like in growing through that. There's something so
Yeah.
special, and I don't want that value to decrease. I'm very passionate about like conserving that value that you
Of
get
family
married and
values.
you
Is
stay
the-
married and you respect each other and you grow with each other. And
Is-
I don't want that to go away.
Is the value the two parents, or can it be, or can that change?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Could it be
Elaborate.
one
Does it
parent?
just
Could it be
have to
three
be-
parents? Could it
Well,
be
maybe-
four? I don't
statistics show when you
know.
have two parents in the household, like you are, like when you take like let's say like the father leaves the home like almost every single time, and when that happens, they're less likely to graduate high school. They're more likely to commit a crime and run away
Right.
from home, and those statistics just skyrocket.
Do you think that like part of that is then it's not necessarily like the number? I do think having two is like more important, but it's because like then that one person is left to hold on to too much that like
Yeah,
they can't
they're also
handle
working,
that.
They're probably working
Yeah.
a lot more. They
So
don't have
it's-
time to, for those relationships
Yeah.
to be very
it's
well
not
off.
necessarily like we need to like preserve this nuclear family of like
Yeah.
a mom, a dad, and
But you also
2.5
get different
kids.
But
things
it's
from your
the-
mother and father.
Yeah,
you,
that
you
is
get very
true.
different attributes like from them. You learn, there's things I've learned from my mother, and there's things I've learned from my father. There's things I would go to talk about with my mom, and there's things I would go to talk about with my father, and you just benefit so much for that. It's so important, those relationships.
Do you think the gender is important in that, or like that it's more so just like having different outlets?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for taking over the podcast.
I said I got it down.
I think not trying to go against to be like it's not, good for the family to have two of the same gender. I don't think that matters, but I think there's a lot of benefits from having like a male father and a female mother. But I also think like when people get married, you always say like opposites attract.
Yeah.
So even if it is the same gender, they're probably
They're
different
gonna
in
be
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
things.
different.
There's somebody
Opposites-
who's more tough and more.
It's
lenient.
more about
You
like
seem
the
to contradict a
femininity
little
and
bit, though.
masculinity
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
You seem to contradict just a little bit, though, possibly.
Okay.
So let me challenge on that or ask you about that. If opposites attract, what happens when they can't grow together? Because they're so opposite.
When opposites attract.
If they're attracted, right? You got two opposites they attract, but then the expectation is
that's the
that you
work
have to
to
grow
put in.
together.
Yeah, and it's also like some people will be like the strength when you don't have it. Somebody who's very a positive thinker will help like somebody who's kind of negative and just sees the negative in everything. Well, have you thought of it this way? Will kind of have a different perspective for you to grow on and lean on sometimes when you can't find it out of yourself. So that's kind of how I would rebuttal to that, I don't know how it works in your family, but I know like my parents were like very, very different and they still were able to grow together. Like
I think it's
sometimes
like that
I was like,
work
what do you guys
that
even have in common? You know what I'm saying? But still, like it was just they were opposite, but the weaknesses of my father were probably being positive sometimes.
Well, maybe that's
And
important.
my mom would always
Maybe
have
that's
that.
important middle and early in the life.
Yeah.
When you're raising children and you're raising and trying to create that, maybe that is that way.
you gotta
Yeah,
know
because you always
which
have like
But-
a strict
play.
parent and
But
like
what
the person
happens
you would
though
go to.
when people do change though, and things change? What happens then? And because they don't have those children to have to do
See,
that to anymore.
I think that's more
What happens
so
then?
the problem is that like
And why
people
is that a bad
think
thing?
that like relationships are like an easy thing. Like people think that marriages and people think that like, oh, we were happy in our 20s, we're gonna be happy for the rest of our life.
And we have to
And
be.
that you have to
And
be.
we have to be.
And two, that it's gonna come naturally. Like I don't believe that, and like I believe in love is like the strongest force behind anything. And I still think though that for any relationship, like platonic, romantic, like sexual, anything like that to work, you have to put in work such as communicating, such as
Yeah.
compromising.
No question.
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't necessarily like. They don't like expect that, and then when it gets hard and they have their first fight, they're just like, "Oh, we'll break up. We weren't meant for each other, or we were
Well,
too
that's
different."
But it,
I don't
it,
think
it
it
does.
is.
No, the first fight. I'm not talking about the first
Oh.
fight. But like, so I have a best friend. So I'm my best friend. We've been best friends since we were 9 years old. Literally 9 years old. We've been best friends.
Yeah.
We're godfathers to each other's sons. And so one day he told me, like, I don't know, like we've been best friends for 43 years. For 43 years. It's a long relationship. Yeah, it's the oldest relationship I have. And so, but to your point though about working at it, he said to me maybe like a decade or so ago, where we had gone through some times, maybe a few years, and he had said to me, and he was really like making this effort, like all the time. He was calling me all the time and being like, "We got to get together, we got to connect, we got to do blah blah blah." And then I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then he said to me one day, he's like, relationships take effort. And they take effort, and I'm making an effort because I love you,
Yeah.
and you're my friend, and we got to continue to work at this if we want this to work. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like that's pretty freaking cool, So you do got to work at it, even though we're alike in many ways and completely opposite in a lot of other ways. But to your point, it's a platonic relationship,
Yeah.
and so the point being that. Yeah, you do have to work at any relationship, work relationship,
Yeah.
school relationship, family, kids, parents,
Like
friends,
things just
grandparents,
aren't like
wife, husband, whatever. Wife,
even
wife,
though
husband,
because
whatever.
like I feel like people like when I say like, oh, I'm so passionate about love, and I think that then it seems like I think that that's enough, but like I like have you seen Love Is Blind?
I have seen a little bit of that. Yeah.
So like a lot of times they ask, they're like, is love enough to like save these marriages? And I'm like, no, it's not. Like you need it, I think, to have successful relationships. You need to have connections such as love, but it's not the entire thing, and it isn't enough. You need to be able to talk about the hard stuff and to go through these things without giving up,
Yeah, right. And so the question is, if you have a relationship that is so opposite, do you say after a while, like, this is just, it's hard. Like, it's just too hard. Like, it's just like, what is the point of doing this? And does that make
Like,
them a
is it
bad
worth
person?
it?
Yeah, does that make them a
Yeah.
bad person for doing that?
No, I don't want, like, I'm not going to say divorce is a bad thing at all. Like, that's not what I was trying to get at. But, again, I would touch on what you said. I don't think, absolutely. You got to pick your personal happiness over that after a while. You know, I've, seen, like, divorce in front of me through, like, in my family or our family-friend relationships, and I was just, well, they're so much happier. I didn't even realize how they probably weren't as happy in that. Even when I thought those two people were so compatible from an outside point of view, and they chose personal happiness. So I would say, yeah, like, I think there is, like, points where you're like, this isn't what we thought it was. This isn't what, this isn't gonna lead us to be better people anymore.
I think
Is
people
there a
do it
certain
too
age?
easy.
Is there
Almost.
right?
They
so
give
like,
up
say it
too
so
early.
wait.
It's like
let me
in the-
qualify that. So what you're saying is, like, you get married at 28, and then at 29 you get divorced. Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
I'm not saying. I think actually, statistically, it's like year 8 is when the most divorce.
That's when they
happen.
But I mean,
when it
even that
flips.
to me is like almost too early. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like you gotta. But then
I
again,
don't know, that might honestly.
But then
be
again,
right.
I also like I like stand strongly by the point, and maybe I don't stand as strongly of like, like, you gotta know that you're with the right person before you have kids. Like, I've seen
yeah.
the way that divorce just
yeah, but hold on.
kills
So
the
you
kids.
guys are really, like, you're not twisting things, but you're caught in the center of something. So hold on, because
Yeah.
you're saying, like, well, you can't get fucking married at 28 because you don't know yourself in some sense, and you got to know somebody. What are you doing? Wait until you're 70 to get married?
Well,
Which
not
I'm
that
not
you
opposed to, but I'm saying, like, it's almost like, but then you're saying, well, you got to work at it and you got to make an effort to it. So, like, once you make the commitment, that's it. Like, you just got to do it to no matter what, till you're dead. If you don't, you're a loser. So it's like, well, where is that line? Like, where is it? Like, you're 8's too quick, 8's too quick, 8's not long enough. I don't know. I mean,
maybe
quantify
it's
that more.
like it depends on the relationship.
What age
I
can
think-
you get married? What's the best age to get married?
Oh,
That's got to be a personal matter.
yeah, that's got.
I'm asking
I think it
all about-
depends
What do you think?
on the relationship. Like, I haven't had a relationship that I feel so like. I have friends who, like, I know are talking about marriage, and in my mind, I'm like,
Friends at 18? You have people, humans? are talking
I've
about
never
marriage?
been in love. So.
I think
They should
about,
be burned like witches
Yeah.
should be burned.
Well, like,
So
well, like
yeah.
one of my friends, his sister
You gotta be
got
fucking
married at
kidding me.
21, and
They're
to me,
fucking
that's
lunatics.
mind
They're
blowing. Like,
lunatics.
that is genuinely.
same page with that?
Yeah.
What,
that's
that-
pretty-
like,
You
oh,
get married
oh,
at fucking
yes.
21? You
I
had to
feel
be a
like
loony.
25.
How do you even
It's
know
like the
yourself?
earliest.
How do you even
Yeah.
know what you want or who you are or what
Yeah.
makes you tick or how you love
Personally,
or how you can put
In
up with
my
this shit?
perfect world, I would meet my partner now, and we would be together and blah 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 blah, and then we would have like a really long engagement, or we'd have like
Yeah.
a really where like we're committed and stuff. But
How
it's not.
long? What is how long? 3 years, 5 years, or 50?
I want to get married in my late like
40s?
like no like 29,
Hold on, I got a buddy that did.
30ish.
My-
Well, okay,
no,
hold
my
on.
other-
Okay.
Late
hold on.
30s, you want to get married?
No,
Right.
early 30s.
Nothing wrong with that. Whatever.
Because I want to have kids. And it's
So
also,
what?
like,
You
the
can have
idea
kids
of-
whenever you want.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on a second. You don't have. Let's get the rules straight. You don't have to be married to have kids, and you don't have to have sex to have kids.
I think you should
technically.
I
be
would
married
like to
have kids.
I would like
I
to
think
be
you're-
married.
So you
Kids
want that
should have
commitment
semen.
before you
Oh,
produce a baby
Yeah.
together.
You want just like a father who isn't like absolutely committed to
But,
like having.
but do you need a
child.
piece of paper to do that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I don't
Do you
know.
need a piece of paper to do that? Oh, I think you're gonna say yes. I see that. You're like, you're
I think you
fucking
need
right,
a piece of
motherfucker.
paper. I think again, like
Yeah.
if you're getting married for a piece of paper, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Correct. Right. Right. I'm with
But
you on
that
that.
commitment needs
There's
to be
something
there. And I
about
think the way
marriage
that,
that
like,
yeah.
when you're like gonna sign legal documents, that says it right there for me. That's,
Well, I
that's like
mean-
signing the deal. I mean,
But you're
Yeah.
you're stepping out of you're stepping out of number 4 here out of love into legal now and how society
yeah.
right.
But
You're
I mean, I
stepping
think
out of
that's
that.
part. So like
Ugh,
when I get married, like
something
I don't want to
you went
change
from
my last
room
name.
A to room B now.
Like I don't want to change my last name when I get married.
You don't?
No.
Do you? Does it
Yeah,
matter?
I just believe in that traditional taking.
Right,
the-
there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it.
and people always say
cool.
like that, but
What if their name?
I
was
think
real
there's
fu-
so
what if
much
that last
beauty
name
in-
was really fucked up though?
oh shit, I think that might
like
throw
something like
one
super
I mean
boring.
something like
again.
Belly. What if their last name was Belly?
No. Ellie
Okay.
Belly.
So you'd
Yeah.
be Ellie Belly.
I would probably change.
Or
my
maybe like a
first name.
hyphen, like putting it together.
Yeah.
You could pronounce it Belay. My name is Ellie Belay.
It's French.
You know, whatever won't get my kids like made fun of.
Yeah,
Cool, you
that's
know
so
what I'm
real.
saying?
So I had a buddy who didn't get married until he was 49.
Mhm.
He was single his whole life, didn't have any kids or anything, and just because he just chose that and what have you, and whatever, and made a boatload of money and enjoyed his life and
Yeah.
traveled, and then he
that
met a
sounds
woman
nice,
at
but
like
not my nice.
45-ish, maybe 5 years they dated, maybe 4 years they dated, and they were just boop. But he told me that he felt like he finally got to understand and know himself in his
Yeah.
mid to late 40s. He's like, I understood myself enough to say, here's who I can give a commitment to,
Yeah.
really give a commitment to, not just do it for my kids or legally, but I did it out of pure love. I mean, it was out of pure it was out of pure love, and I did it, and we both felt that way. It was her first marriage as well,
Yeah.
and so
Do
so that he didn't have all of those variables outside of it.
I think about? I just don't
So
think
do we
I'm
all wait
ever
till we're
gonna
50 to get
truly
married?
know myself. Like I don't
Yeah.
think.
You don't
There-
think you'll ever will?
Well, I don't think I'm ever gonna be the same person enough to know. Like in this moment right now, I think I know myself
Yeah.
great. I feel like
When
I
I even
really
look at
do.
myself 2 years ago.
Exactly.
I always say
I'm
like,
so different.
like 6 months from now, I'm gonna think right now was
Mhm.
dumb. I'm gonna be like, what the heck was I doing?
Exactly.
Like, it's a constant cycle.
So why not have
There's nothing
someone
you
to
can
sit
do
with you
to like
through
prevent
that?
yourself from like 5 years from now looking back at now and being like, holy crap, I was stupid. Like,
So I
it's
think
gonna
it's-
happen. So
Maybe it's more about, at least for me, not like the commitment to the person, or like not us like committing to each other in like the sense of like, oh, I'm committing to you for life. It's like, or like they're committing to me for life. It's that they're committing to love me regardless of
Yeah.
the changes I go through and the way that I do redefine myself.
yeah.
And that even no matter how opposite we get, that it's
Committing to like accepting like they're
Yes.
gonna change, like
Yes,
they're gonna
and
grow, they're
knowing
gonna
that
rediscover,
they're going
like,
to
yeah.
change.
But what happens when it goes like that then?
I
And
don't
then,
know,
like,
I
still
think-
having that love for them.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because like I mean,
Yeah.
there are people who get divorced and have like great divorces, and they're like,
Yeah.
we're still friends. Like
yeah,
we're
we can still be in the same
They
room.
still
You
love
can
each
invite
other.
us
Yeah.
They're
to
just
the
not
Christmas
in
party.
love.
exactly.
There's not
yeah.
past.
You
They're
gotta
not in
respect
love, but
somebody
they
I
who's
love
think
each
about
other.
that with like my
Yeah.
ex best friend. Like she
Yeah.
like completely just like sliced me off, and like it was like one of the most painful things
You
ever.
guys divorced?
But yeah, literally. And I had like almost no say in it too. But I still like hold so much love for her. And it's like, I don't know, I still think of her as like, oh yeah, that was my childhood best friend.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's like, that was still,
That's pretty healthy.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty nice.
But even
There are
in
moments,
true.
marriage-
don't worry.
All right.
There are moments where I'm like,
That's cool though, man.
bitch. But like in the
Right.
overall sense, I like
Yeah.
to think that, you know,
Well,
she was
yeah.
my best friend.
Right.
And I can't just go and taint all those memories because she changed, and we became very different people is the way I put it.
Yeah.
And she did not want to be friends with me anymore, and that's her decision. I'm not going to force anyone to like be in any kind of relationship with me if they don't want to. And doesn't mean it doesn't like hurt, but
All right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's your category, so
Yeah.
you can finish
I
up with
get-
whatever you want.
Well,
How do you want to?
last thing
You
I
get
was
the
just
last
gonna
say.
say
What do
is
you got?
like when you get married and you decide to have kids, like you gotta know like when they're gonna like, yeah, we're accepting that we're gonna grow
Mm.
and we're gonna change. Like you gotta also understand like that is gonna be your kid's father.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Oh, it's just a bug on the
Yeah, it's all good, man. That's
We're like,
hey,
what's
you,
wrong?
You produce, buddy. You do what you got to do.
They were written, speaking of produce, about almost hour and a half mark.
All right, that's cool. That's
That's
good.
Yeah, I
almost
know.
Super fast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We got another hour and a half to go.
Yeah.
I know you said to finish it off, and I was like, we're already done.
What-
I
what,
was so.
I,
Well,
you
just
know,
on, like,
this,
marriage,
Oh.
this
I
topic,
guess.
this topic.
Yeah.
Just say and finish off
Oh,
this
okay.
topic. All right, what do you got?
But-
Yeah, no, the
know.
thing about kids is like a big like
Yeah,
that.
and when you get
is-
divorced, you can't hate and freaking talk crap about.
Yes.
That
I
is
know.
gonna be your
That-
child.
You
parent.
You shouldn't do that at any time.
Yeah.
You should never do that. My opinion. Like, you should positive vibes, man. We
Yeah.
all are
And
in
I mean,
this
I
together,
Go talk
one way or
shit
another.
To somebody else, but your kids
Exactly.
should never,
Like,
Yeah,
I
but
have-
you shouldn't even talk with other people like shit. Like,
I don't
we're all in
know.
this together.
I think
like, what
you
the
need
fuck?
to talk shit sometimes.
Exactly.
I won't lie.
Sometimes you just gotta go.
I
rant
think
and
you
be
need
like,
to vent. There are people
you
that
can't
have
hold it
hurt
all
you,
in.
and that's okay that they've
that's-
hurt you.
But that's a very private, quiet conversation.
Then do it
You're
with
not-
someone you trust.
Correct.
Like,
That's what I
don't-
mean. That's what I mean.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you don't go out on social media.
Oh,
you don't
yeah,
run around
no,
town.
No, I'm not
You don't
saying like I'm
vent.
gonna go bash
You do
them
that
on-
quietly with one
And
person
with
or two people you
class.
trust, and that's
Yes.
it. Yeah.
In a very you don't like make things up.
Right.
You don't do whatever. And it's but no, yeah, I've had like one of my best friends, like her parents are divorced, and they are like the worst kind of divorce where they attack each other through her, and it's ruined her relationship with both of her parents.
But those people had issues way fucking before
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And they have issues with themselves, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
they don't even love themselves.
Yeah.
Those people are.
But I'm just saying how
effed up.
that like messes with your kids.
Oh, that'll
and
mess with your
how-
psyche as a human. It
And
messes
yeah.
with me just talking about it.
Mm,
Just thinking about people that act like that. Like, that's fucked up.
yeah. And even on like a smaller scale of like going through like when you're in similar friend groups, like when you date and then you break up and it's like horrendous.
Then you ruin the whole friend group.
And then
everything,
you
so
have to like
gotta-
choose a side and like you have to, and then people talk bad about you through one person and then they act like they're nice to you to your face, and maybe that's my own personal.
All right, we've found religion. We discovered it. We lost our religion. We got married. We had kids. My God, we-
I don't know. I think you should pick one.
We
that
went
you
through a
think
lot of
that-
crime
Yeah.
together. We
Yeah,
went through a
that
lot
we
of
disagree on because we really.
I don't even know what
like,
dimensions would be. I'm like reading
dimensions. That's the
just
dimensions, like third dimension, fourth dimention, fifth dimension. Some
like
people.
multiverse.
Yes.
Oh,
Some
okay.
people
That's
say
all I
that
needed was the
yeah,
Marvel term.
Sorry, I should have said. Yeah, you needed
I don't
the
even know what
you
that
needed the
is.
Disney term. Sorry.
Yeah, I needed the Disney. I needed the
the-
Marvel.
The real world term.
Is dimensions.
It's dimensions. Yeah. Some people say that we are in the fourth dimension, trying to get through the fifth dimension at some point.
What does that mean? I don't even. Let's not even start that. 'Cause that sounds so confusing.
That'll
I
bend
don't
your
know.
brain
Sounds like
a
it will
little
hurt
bit.
my head.
It's
Yeah,
actually a pretty cool subject, but it will change. It'll make you stop for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I don't think, and there will be no discussion on that, or as far a disagreement. Excuse
Yeah.
me, and whatsoever on that.
Sometimes I'm like,
I mean,
thinking
you know, the
about
hot
this-
button. I can see what the hot button is, possibly.
What is it? I want to know.
Well, I think it's politics. I think politics has
yeah.
got to be the.
But like,
mean, everybody
what
debates
part
on
of
that.
it? Like, there's.
Well, I
I
don't
feel
know.
like politics is like such like everything on there. I feel like can be politicized. In a
Well, it
sense.
can be if you
I guess
want
that's
it
a
to be.
question. Do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I asked the question.
Sorry.
But you,
You're so
but,
mad.
but now you're having me pick the category, so I'll pick the category. You guys ask the questions. We, I know, right? we've entered the multiverse.
The fourth dimension.
This is the fifth dimension.
Oh, fifth dimension.
What's next? You're gonna run cameras. I'm gonna sit in your chair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jared popped on
hey, what's happening here? The world is upside down, baby. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, I guess
That
that.
didn't.
I mean, that's gonna be the hottest button.
I know. But
mean,
how do
everything
we even
else-
Start a political
Okay, so look up
conversation?
one of your questions in your book. What's one of your political questions?
Oh, I don't need the book. I'll just ask you
Oh.
off the top of my head.
Okay.
All right. You turned 18.
I just turned 18.
Yay! How awesome is that? Congratulations. You're officially an adult according to society.
Yes.
Whatever that.
I think I've been an adult since I was
that means.
11.
But
TBH.
you turned 18 though prior to our last election,
I did. Yes, I
which
didn't
means
get to
you
vote.
voted for the first time
I did.
this year. So who'd you vote for?
Yeah, that's one way to get this thing
I would
going.
like-
I'm gonna jump in the deep end. We're not
Yeah.
paddling out in the shallow stuff. Who'd you vote for?
Well, like in which part of the election? There was
Yeah.
a few parts in this.
Which
Which judges did I vote for? Is that what you want to know?
no, because I
Out of
know
the
That
so
ain't-
many
because I know of
options.
the 27 judges that were on that ballot. There was only one that was they were contesting. They were all incumbents.
It was, I will not lie, voting was harder than maybe like this, like elections were harder than I assumed because I tried, like, I got my ballot and I read all the names, and I really wanted to like do my research on people.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to not just be like, oh, like the like stereotypical like, oh, I just checked the Democrats, or oh, I just checked the Republicans.
Yeah.
Well, who would you check
Like
if you checked?
Democrats or the Democratic Farmers Party, something like that.
Yeah.
But like I wanted to do my research on but it's like hard then because everything is so biased either way, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go on their website to like figure it out. I want to like, and it was harder than I expected it to be to find good, reliable research, and I think that was kind of eye opening to me.
Yeah. I respect that because it's only 4% of the United States population that consistently votes in local elections and state elections.
And I think that's so important.
It's only 4%.
That's
of the
insane. Like
That's sad.
That's
It's
the
sad.
thing, and I think that's why
fucking sad.
people think that like voting doesn't matter is because they don't vote in those elections where the smaller stuff. Like, yeah, when you have 2 candidates for president and you are voting on that, yeah, maybe your one little vote isn't going to matter as much. But when you're talking about local stuff, like the things that happen on your level, like why don't you not care
and
about
that's
that?
the most thing that's affecting
Exactly.
you
That's the
right
most
now.
important
It's not
thing.
like
Do you think
And that's how you work up. Like that's how you work up to make changes. You have to
Yeah.
start small. And
Do you think the president that who we elect as the president?
Biden?
No, I'm
Byron.
saying who
Oh,
we
just in
elect
general.
as a. I know who the president is
was
today.
like- I was
Jesus.
like, Dad, are you?
You had too much to drink in your coffee cup there, right? No,
How's your
who
coffee?
do you feel that is like define how important that is. That
Like voting in the presidential election?
no, define how
the role of the presidency.
yes, define that. How important that is.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking this way. Come on now. As opposed to the local elections.
Okay.
The government,
The
the
local
Congress,
government and stuff.
our House of Reps, our Senate.
I think, well, I mean,
What does that represent? What does the president represent to you? The office of the president, what
okay.
does that represent to you?
I think that represents, or like what it should represent, or what it does represent.
No,
Because I think
what
that's
it does.
what it does.
You can answer what it should, but
Okay.
what does it for you? What does it represent for you?
For
What does the
me?
president represent for you?
Personally, not a lot for me. I don't know, because I'm thinking about it from both sides. I'm thinking about it from having like a president like Biden versus having a president like Trump, and like seeing both sides of it. Of like, okay, well, when Trump did something, I would be like, well, like obviously those aren't my views, or like I didn't stand with that. But then it's like, I don't know, even if like Biden does like something in my mind that's like good, I still don't like trust it, I guess, that much. But I don't trust a lot of the government, which is also a big. I don't know.
Trust the government. I don't trust the government.
I don't trust the government. I don't.
This
think-
podcast is getting boring. Jesus Christ. You guys want to go back and hug?
But I would challenge
shit.
that to like why I vote Republican, because I don't trust the government.
Right.
And that's
So
why.
that's
Yeah.
what we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So
I don't know what role the presidency.
Well, it's
plays
like
in
foreign
that.
policy. A lot of
Yeah.
our foreign policy belongs to the president.
I was
He
gonna
makes
say,
those
'cause, like, I
actions to
wanna-
deploy troops and where.
I want to say he represents the U.S. Like the president
Yeah.
should represent the U.S. But then I think about it, and I think like, but he doesn't
He has
represent.
a lot of influence as well. on
Maybe
the
that's
House
the better
and
word,
in
is
the
that
Senate.
he represents the influence of the U.S. or he has the power
Yeah.
to influence the U.S.
He has taken those important calls
Mhm.
and he is negotiating.
But it's like I don't necessarily think that he represents like the people of the United States.
Well, he does enough that
Yeah.
they voted for him.
But
Or did they or not?
I don't know.
I mean,
See-
did they vote for him or not?
also,
I mean, was it re-election real or not?
no,
Like,
nobody voted for Biden. They voted against Trump. I think is a one way to put it. Is nobody actually thought Biden would be. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Biden would be the top. Are you kidding? I'm sorry. No
Contender.
offense to your party, but it's like that's
No.
that's the best you had. Like,
no, I
so
fully
you could ask me
agree.
that question about Trump as well.
I was
but-
about to say,
wouldn't you put that
yeah.
back?
You would
Like,
ask me to
It's
be
like, well, I
really?
mean, no, I think that is a totally true statement. Is that people voted against
For
Trump?
their
is that
party,
they
kind
weren't?
of clung to their party.
But I think, in my opinion, I think that shows how drastically not good Trump is as a president and as a person representing this country is that enough people were willing to band together to vote him out.
But do you think that that's because
I don't think that's how it should be. I don't think that's how our president should be elected, and that's how we should be represented.
And I don't think it was, just so we're clear, I don't think anything on either end. I don't think the president Biden won by a landslide or he won so much because anybody liked him or disliked Trump. I think it was pretty damn even, and it came down to like one state.
Yeah.
I mean, this election was super fucking close. It wasn't any landslide
It was
whatsoever.
a nail biter.
Yeah, it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything like when President Trump won against
Hillary, yeah.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that
was
a
a
landslide.
landslide. That was a massive
And I think that's
landslide.
I think
Massive.
that election is what influenced this one, is that so many, like, it was some of the lowest voter turnout in the Hillary versus Trump election because both of them, in my opinion, were shit. And, like, I do not like Hillary in one aspect, but it was the idea of keeping Trump out. And I think that was, and people didn't think like that. They just thought both of them suck so much that we just shouldn't vote. But like, and then I think they saw their mistake with that, and that's why this election was so much more
So you're
even.
saying the Democratic Party came out and voted,
Yes.
where they didn't in 16.
Mm-hmm.
Did they think that he
Even
wasn't
if they
going to
didn't
win?
like his choices.
I mean, they didn't think he was going to.
Who's
I mean,
he?
why
Yeah.
didn't they vote in 16?
I think because they were stupid. I think.
They were coming off
Why
like
are they
an
smarter
8-year
now?
Democratic presidency.
And you're saying they're smarter now?
I think they learned something. Not necessarily smarter, but that they learned something that, especially, I mean, we had the highest young voter turnout in that election. I think a lot of the younger people.
In what? In 20?
And yeah, in the
Or
Biden
16?
election.
I think it was like
I was gonna
honestly,
say,
it was like 50%.
It was insane,
We
yeah.
broke records.
Yeah.
In the 2020 election.
Which makes me happy for like either side. That just makes me happy that people are
Yeah.
voting in general.
Makes the election a lot more legitimate.
Yeah.
Anyways, and-
It does. You guys are way too agreeing on things.
But I know, but I'm
But I
saying,
think that's the big point. I think that's like such like a good important is like that we have such contracting views, but we can still find
yeah,
this.
but at the same time, I don't even think we've touched like any of like the hot stuff like
I was
right
about to say,
now.
what do you
Because
wanna,
I would
like-
say like 100%. I think Joe Biden was a horrible option when you look at the state of our country right now, and we would be way better off with Trump right now. And I think the media really came out for him to, you know, he's not. We talked about this as well via text that we were kind of opposed to him announcing his candidacy for 2024. I think he needs
For
to let
Trump?
it go. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm kind of like, okay, I'm over this stuff.
Yeah.
You're too old.
Right.
Let's get out. But 2020, I absolutely 100% believe that that should have been him right there over Joe Biden, and the state of our country would be better.
Like what aspect of the state of our country do you think just like
Well, when you look at our foreign policy,
in foreign policies?
I don't believe we would be in the Russian-Ukraine war right now. I don't think that ever would have happened if we had Trump as our influencer, if you want to say that. As our
Do you think that
representative.
Russia would not have invaded
No, I
Ukraine
don't- I
because
don't
they
think
would
they
have
would.
been scared?
They would have been scared because Trump he led our country with an iron fist. And when you see that in the way that he was when Trump got into office, they're like, he's gonna start all these wars, like we're gonna get North Korea's coming for us, like
But nothing ever happened.
nothing ever happened. And in fact, our foreign affairs were amazing. The way that he was the first president to ever step foot in North Korea, to be on good terms with whoever that fat guy is that leads them. I can't say his name. I'm not even gonna try. Kim Jong Un.
You said that pretty well.
Yeah, when you see our in the Middle East, how peace deals were being signed, like almost it felt like every other week that was going on, and we were just so much better off. That when we want to talk, I hate when people are like, oh, the only pro thing about Trump was the economy. No, it goes way more like deeper than that.
Well, don't you think they're tied? I mean, don't you think the foreign policy and the economic policy are tied together? I mean, we're a global.
Oh yeah,
We're a global world. I mean, trade happens and supply and demand happen all over the world. It's not just.
But it
Not just
also
our
is
own
like our
bubble.
law and order. We talked about crime and how crime is insane. And when you see where all this crime is happening, when you look at Phoenix is now a shithole. And I live there and I experience it, and
Yeah.
I'm disgusted by it. I will never live there.
Yeah.
Because it's turning into San Francisco, and it's just being tolerated. There's no law and order. And so that's why I'll continue to vote Republican, and why
I guess
think Trump
then,
was just
I think that's like the place then where we most differ is like the idea of value, or like, because I guess in my mind, it's like I much more value like the things that set me off so much were Trump. Wasn't his like foreign affair or like how he did all that stuff. It was the
his
way
character.
Yeah, it was.
Wait, so I mean, is it upset the angry tweet, the tweets?
Well, no, I'm talking about his character and like a response to like human like rights and like things like that.
Okay.
Like that was, and I think
He'll have to edit the hell
Yeah,
out
cut
of
that
that.
out. That was nasty.
I did it in my shirt. It wasn't that nasty.
Just sounded gross.
And I just,
Right in the mic too.
I guess like for me, that's more important to me in a presidency.
Yeah.
But then I guess I just don't know.
Well, if that's that important, then how do you explain? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you look at Biden, President Biden today, and I don't know. I try to always refer to the president that way because I still have a shitload of respect for the office of the presidency. I don't care what idiot is incorporating it.
So, I mean, like,
and
if
I don't
you
know
were
where we
invited to
lost
the
that.
White
We
House
lost
for
that
a
one day.
dinner,
I do
you
remember.
would go.
I do remember this. I remember.
Yeah, you're right.
I
I would.
absolutely
Yeah.
would go too. If I
go,
got to shake Joe Biden's hand, I'd be
yeah.
like, "Thank you." Like,
Yeah.
it's an
And I
honor,
refer to
you
the
know?
president as the president. I mean, I remember it. I remember it happening between President Bush and President Obama during that election period, when all of a sudden the media and society started referring to President Bush as Bush. They would just say Bush, and it was like, I'd never heard that in my life before. You know, like for 40 years or 35 years, I never heard anybody do that before. Like, don't you have any respect for the presidency? Why do you just call him by his name?
Yeah.
Like, that isn't right. They're the president. So refer to him as President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, President Trump. So anyways, President Biden, I mean, he does a lot of, you say that that's important. Do you feel like today that he does that he represents
No, I don't think.
in a way of like high, I don't know, man, not
Like
to say-
morality?
yeah, I wasn't going to say moral because I think he's a kind of a moral person, but gosh, he doesn't come across real strong.
Yeah, no.
Holy shit.
See, that's the thing also. See, okay, maybe that's my biggest problem with Biden is that even though it's like, and because like I like wouldn't say, I guess, okay, going back to like the parties and stuff, like I would not consider myself a Democrat. Like I vote Democratic because I feel like there's no other option and that there's no other like
Milo.
ignore him.
It's
Ignore him
Milo.
and ignore the door opening.
Do you want to wait?
No, we're in the garage pod. This is all part of the atmosphere. This is fun. The garage doors opening, the dog scratching at the door.
Yeah,
it's all
that's
good.
so
No worries. It's all part of the
Hi.
atmosphere.
Good. How are you?
It's all good. All right, go ahead. Keep going.
I was gonna wait.
Well, you don't want to hear the garage going. I don't think the microphone's picked that up. No, I don't think the
Anyway,
audience has the luxury of hearing that.
ignoring that interruption, like is that he is soft, and I think that's part of why people were like attracted to Trump is like that he is,
Yeah.
you know, he has his ideas and he sticks by them, which
And
I
he was
do
something
respect
new.
him.
He wasn't a
that.
politician. He was a businessman, and people were saying,
Yeah.
"Fuck with this. Let's just."
Like I
Right.
Fuck
do
it, let's do
respect
this.
that about
Yeah,
him, and there's
and
very little
super
that I
rare.
do.
And I always question, like, why did it take a billionaire businessman from New York to do the things that these
Yeah.
politicians have been
Because-
talking about for years?
Well, that's a great question.
because
Why is that? Why is it that, I mean, I think the answer is glaring, but keep going. Why do you think that is? Because the politicians
I think
are out for them fucking selves and to make
absolutely.
fucking so much money that they don't
Exactly.
give a shit
And
about
he's
the people, and that's their job is
100%.
to
And he
serve the
came in
people.
And he said, "Let's drain the swamp.
Right.
All this corruption in Washington's
Right.
got to go."
Right.
And that's what he did. And I always like he left everything for it. He was beloved by the American people. Like everyone freaking loved him. He was the
Right.
American dream. He wasn't a racist. He was, you know, this genius guy, this businessman from New York. Hollywood loved him. Like
Till they
he
turned
was
on him.
respected.
Till the media started
He
to
was rich.
influence
He
and
had
turn.
everything. And the moment he's like, "I'm gonna run for president. I'm gonna drain the swamp," boom.
Yep.
Overnight, he's a
Yeah,
he's a
everybody
racist.
loved him prior to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
because
that's
it didn't fit
yeah.
into their agenda. The people that have massive power and control in this country.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, he's coming for
Which
us.
don't
and this
align
guy,
with
and
him.
this guy, and obviously he's never really given a crap, but what anybody thought.
He didn't
You know
have
what I'm
to.
saying?
He didn't have to because he didn't
Yeah.
need money like some politicians need.
Yeah, and absolutely, and
opinion.
I think that's what people like totally attracted people to Trump. Where sometimes he probably would say things that he shouldn't
sent
have,
fucked up
and
tweets.
yeah, and then people will be like, "I'm turning my cheek because I don't care because this guy's gonna do it for us,
Right.
and I'm gonna stand by." It, and I'm
See,
gonna ride
and
by
I
him."
think
And I
that's
think
the
that's what
thing.
got me
Yeah.
as well, and that's 100%.
Is that
And
I
that's-
couldn't turn my cheek.
And that's
I
what enraged
can't.
people. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
is that
enraged the
I-
other side. Yeah.
It like maybe just because those things like have such
Yeah.
standing in me that like I couldn't turn my cheek to having someone like that because
You just thought it came too easy to him, and
yeah, well it's like that I couldn't because like what I think the presidency should be
You
is
couldn't separate
someone
that.
represent. It's the same thing
more
with like
presidential. He wasn't very presidential at all,
Okay,
and
no.
that's what I want more
Yeah.
out of our next president.
Yeah, he
that's
wasn't.
Why I don't.
He wasn't
really
Abe Lincoln.
And that's what and exactly, and that's why I'm like, great. He had a great 4 years. Should have been 8. Too bad it wasn't. Okay, let's move on. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Let's take what his 4 years were for how
I-
great they were.
I will say that I align with that a little bit more, and then instead of saying, then crying and complaining about what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Right, that attitude and that
Like
perspective
next,
on
let's
things.
go because
where people
moving on.
where
now.
a
And
lot of
even the
people on the other
Republican Party
side,
a lot where
yeah.
it's like we'll find somebody better, we'll find somebody younger. You know, we're gonna reign off what Trump did. Like he totally set the tone for us.
Let's hope so. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well-
Republicans, I think, have really fucked up a lot of things.
Yeah.
I
think
think
they're- I think that
that's-
you got to get somebody that's under fucking 70. Like this
Yeah.
country needs
What if,
somebody
like,
under.
come on, we
no
can
more
find
old heads.
somebody.
We need
someone
no
under
old
70
heads.
in
You know?
everything.
Yeah.
Like I would
Correct.
like a complete actual sweep. And see, that's the thing. Also, is that maybe it's like I just and this isn't necessarily. I think Trump aggravated it and it like but it's not necessarily all on him, it's on both sides of the divide now. So now it's like
It's
both
all about our
sides
media.
are so drastically stretched that we can't, even though I would say like we both agree that we should have younger people in office and that we should have younger people.
I think most people would actually.
Exactly.
I honestly think there's
But
probably like
it's
9 out of 10 things we
so
could probably agree
divided. Yes.
So what you said? So President Trump maybe fueled that a bit, and I don't know if he did it on purpose. I think he did it because that's just who he was. And
I think also
people did
took
that on their
it.
own.
Yeah.
They looked at themselves. What has any leadership done on the other side of the table to do the opposite?
Oh, I don't think almost anything. I think both sides. I think
What has like Nancy Pelosi done, or what has Biden done, or President Biden?
Yeah.
What has any leadership done in any political fashion done to bring people more together and to, you know?
I don't. I genuinely do not believe in either side, and I feel like that gets like really twisted with it because it's like you have to pick a side in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's like I
There is that,
so deeply like disagree with both, and the
Yeah.
fact that it's like that idea of like relating it to just something like very personal to me. It's like a Republican will like say something like homophobic to my face, but then like a Democrat will just like say it behind my back. Like it's like two sides of the same
they're-
Yeah.
coin. in
That's
my
what I
mind.
hate about Democrats personally. Sorry.
That
Not Democrats, but liberal. I
That-
hate that. I hate the two-facedness, the passive-aggressive two-facedness. I hate
it's very
that.
Minnesotan.
Yeah, it is. That my personal opinion that
But I also
gnaws at
think
me
there's
more than
shit that you
anything in the
shouldn't
world.
say
The
to
Republicans
people.
sometimes
Exactly.
are
Like
possibly the Republicans can be real dumbasses, but at least they stand behind it and they say, "I'm a dumbass. Fuck you. Get on board or not."
honestly,
They own
yeah.
a lot of
They
it.
own
I
it.
do have
They
a lot
lean
of
in and they own
respect
it.
for that.
I
In
do. I respect
the
that too.
conservative Republican side of it is that at least they own it, and it feels like
Democrats are trying to, beat around the bush, not
Yeah.
hurt anyone's feelings.
and I don't know. But then like I
tough.
say that, and I say if I like say that around like more so like Democratic like liberal people, then it's like, oh, so you're a Republican, but it's like, no, I'm not that either, because I also don't really believe in like saying those horrendous things in at all. It's like I don't believe in saying them to your face. I don't believe in saying them behind your back. I just not at all.
I have to point this out. I think it's hellacious, not Horatius, but
Horatius, did I say? Sometimes I say words wrong.
no, I mean, it would be weird because I think if the audience heard that and they were like, that was hellacious, not Horatius. But Horatius is kind of fun too, though. But I agree. It could be Horatius. It is. It's there's some fucked up things
And
that
I
are
just,
said.
I don't know. And maybe that's, and I think that is the line with Trump is that I just I couldn't personally pass that.
And I kind of understand that.
Mhm.
You know, I think
His
people
time's
who could
done.
vote for him are people who could just be like,
Turn
he's just
the
done
cheek,
so
yeah.
many great things for this
The co-
country.
The question's going
It's
to
like
be:
a bit
do you
of
think?
privilege in my mind.
Do you think that he's going to, when doesn't get the nomination, which I don't think he's going to get, which I don't think he should get,
Yeah.
that he'll put his support behind whoever does, and then he'll say, okay, for the betterment of the country, this is it? Or do you think his
I would
ego is so
hope
big
so,
that
I
he
would
will?
hope so,
I know, I do.
but I really could not.
Because there's a
say-
lot of people that follow him blindly.
yeah.
They just say, "Fuck it, I don't care about anything. I just follow him like a
Exactly.
robot,"
If
which
it
is
was-
Yeah.
which is just
he
as
was
bad
smart,
as
he
the
would
other
do
side.
that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't.
but I don't think he
I
will.
really, really hope he would, but it's like I don't.
I mean, time will
think so.
tell.
I
Who
think
the hell
he's
knows?
a bit,
Yeah.
Too egotistical.
Yeah. I don't think he
Oh,
could
yeah.
put that aside.
I really felt at one point that he really did care. I mean, I think he does care about the country. I want to believe that he
yeah.
does. That he truly
he
cares
left
about
everything.
the United
He-
States of America and our ideals and our values and not every single thing. We don't agree on everything, but he does. And
Yeah.
I hope he cares enough.
Yeah,
hope
I
he
could
cares
never stand
enough
though when people would call him like
when
a
it's time.
dictator, authoritative
just,
governor. I'd be like, have you ever read a history book in your life? Like, come on.
Right.
That's like, or he compare him to Hitler.
You
I would be
can't.
like,
Dictatorship
yeah.
starts with socialism. It goes into
Yeah,
communism.
exactly.
There's a progression of people and governments and how they're controlled and how they're used by their government, and they're bullshitted and believed in things. So, I don't think you're alone in that. And
Yeah.
in
It's
what
just-
you're saying
yeah.
about, hey, I don't really
'Cause I don't
want to
wanna be put in
align with
either
either one.
side.
Yeah.
But I want leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
And they don't
that's
have to agree.
So hard because it's like, then it's who
Then it gets
do
down
I
to
put my
issues.
leadership behind? And I
Yeah.
don't trust politicians because I do think that they are run by money and greed. and
I
so
think
many
that
things.
98% of the country on both sides would say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
The
like,
people in the
why
deep parts
can't
of each
we-
side. Don't you agree with that? That like
oh my God, yeah.
people, like the only people that don't agree with that are the politicians.
literally,
yeah.
yeah.
Like what? No, not here.
And so
We're
it's like
like,
I don't, but they just. They
Yeah.
hold so much influence over like both parties. Like that's what I'm saying is like people follow them so blindly, like due to like their groups and things that's how they keep their power.
So
is that people don't.
so how do we
can't
change
band
it?
together because they've pushed us so far
So
against
how
each
do we
other.
change it? How does it change?
Having conversations like this.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, what else? How does that change? Does term limits change that?
I would love term limits for Congress and for the people in the Senate and the House. I do not think they should be able to
I mean,
serve.
the president has a term
as-
limit.
exactly. But you know the reason why they don't is because they're the ones who would pass the law and they don't want to give
Because they
up
wouldn't
their
have their
power.
career. Like,
yeah.
that's my job. I don't
Technically,
want to like
and
vote
fact
to
check
lose
this.
my job.
You'd have to fact check this. But technically, I believe Ted Cruz tried to introduce a bill that would limit the terms of Congress.
Yeah, I think that is
it
true.
got shot down. It got shut
Yeah.
down by everybody because they were
People
like,
are power
"Bruh,
hungry.
Well,
you're
these are
killing
our
us!
jobs
Yeah.
we're
Like this
talking
is our
about,
yeah,
so
this
I
is our
said.
career, and it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be a career.
But
it's
it
supposed
also-
to serve the people."
Yeah, exactly. And the
Is that
and the way
Cruz
you
did.
when
And he
those-
just got kicked in the groin for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I'm sure.
it also would make our government more legitimate. You know what I'm saying?
Totally
Like,
legitimate.
absolutely.
It would make it super
Yeah.
legitimate. So
But
then
the
it,
question is,
that-
how long are these term limits? Because people will say
Agreed.
other things. Some people will say 2 years, and I'm like, I don't. What can you get done in 2 years?
I was
Like,
gonna say I don't.
Yeah, I
think
don't
that's
know. I don't
long.
know what the
I
number
think
is.
like even like 6 to like 6.
I
I
would
would ballpark 6 to 10 years. I think
Mhm.
would
Yeah.
be fine.
But
or
10 years, I
plausible.
think, got to be max.
Yeah.
You know,
oh yeah.
I mean, you know,
absolutely.
President Biden, and you can fact check this. I don't think he's ever had a job.
Oh, no, he hasn't, and he didn't do shit in
52 or
47
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it was like 49 or 50 before he
And
got
they're
in.
my
set
gosh,
for
yeah.
life.
And that's
The
all he
minute
did.
You get off of.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
are set for life.
And I'm not saying that they shouldn't either be paid or have compensation. I'm not saying that. And you shouldn't maybe have health or have a pension. I'm not saying that because it's a hell of a responsibility.
It's a big job. It's super
But
important.
at 10-year mark, you're out.
Yeah.
Get the
you
fuck
gotta
outta
go.
here.
And you can do
I don't wanna
other
hear
You're
things
fucking out.
in
People out of your
politics
face.
other than serving. Like
Absolutely.
there's so
Like,
much.
your
Right,
job
you
doesn't
can
necessarily
step
go.
board that.
People, like,
Yeah.
you could,
And then what would happen? Then the common, ordinary man and woman could represent the
More.
people.
But
Because
they don't
today,
want that.
the only people that can do that are millionaires. Like, you have to be a
Exactly.
millionaire
Is
to
Milo
run.
really not allowed to come in here?
What's that?
Is Milo
he will
really?
break every.
He will.
No, I think he will. He'll run all over and just. I know you want him bad, don't you? But he wouldn't come.
Pawn at that door.
I know he
He
wouldn't
can
come.
hear us,
Probably
the boy.
because he actually has to go to the bathroom. But he'll have to go out that way. But he can't come this way anyways because he'll
He
get
won't come
shocked
this
this far.
far.
So you couldn't even get to
I'm gonna
pet
go
him.
snuggle him.
We can talk pets and stuff if you want. Oh, look at
No,
you.
this is a good one. We would just
We're talking.
Yeah.
We're talking politics
talking
and
big
dogs.
boy stuff. Yeah.
Pretty much the same. The word
Dogs
could
and
be
cats.
interchangeable in between it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 years you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you can springboard that. You can go on to be whatever. And then I think you would get people that are, because if you're not a multimillionaire, you can't run for any type of office. Probably mayor. Okay. And seriously, like
No,
you have to
you're
have
right.
money.
But this like campaign,
You
like,
need
But
money.
and if you
to
don't have your own
anything in
money,
politics.
you have to rely on other people then for their money,
Yeah.
and then of course you're indebted to them, which means they're using
They
you as a
have bits of
puppet,
power.
which is like probably 80% of the damn politicians we
No,
have
I fully
are
yeah,
puppets,
fully agree.
right? So if you got those term limits, that wouldn't happen then. That would dissolve those things. That would dissolve all
But
of
yeah,
that
in order to do that,
because anybody
pass
could
through
run
Congress, which will not happen.
then. Well, you don't never know. I mean, you don't know.
I would
Could,
love for it to happen.
But the question is, how does it
don't-
happen? I don't have any answers for that. I don't know.
I don't realistically believe that it could happen.
It would take a lot of guts. I don't know. Something would have to happen, I think, to have them have a lot of guts. I don't know. What do you think?
And I mean, I
Because-
just
I know. I
You
don't
think
think
it
they're
can
gonna.
happen?
It's not gonna. These politicians aren't gonna do it themselves. It's gonna take the people to get up and be like, enough is enough. Like, what are we doing here?
Agreed.
We're not going anywhere. Like,
Agreed.
But how do we do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, you know. Like, I know that the governor over in Michigan, they didn't like her, and they tried to kidnap her and put her in a boat and row her across Lake Michigan at one point. Yeah, they did that during COVID. Gretchen Whitmer, there was some kind of coup that they tried to kidnap her and something like that gets a little weird. That's some weird shit going on over
It's
there.
a little
but-
aggressive.
yeah,
But it's like, how do
as
you
people,
cause
I don't know how we
change
do it. I
without
don't know.
breaking, like, moral
Your values.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe it'll take somebody to actually like
Be in
go
there.
into office.
Well, it
But
could
then
take
it's
And
a.
then
How do
take
you not
10
get
years and be like, no, I'm not
Well-
going to run. And all these people want them to run again and be like, and I'm not going to run again because I'm morally like obligated. And then maybe start that trend of
See, that's what I
Yeah,
think is
that's actually
like,
pretty
there was
good.
like the
It
first
might
like
take
Gen
one
Z
person,
member
yeah.
got elected into Congress like this past election or like something like that. And it like,
you guys keep
I'm-
talking for 1 second.
And so like I'm like so hopeful and I'm like, oh maybe, but then it's part of me is like, I just the amount of corruption like within, because I bet not everyone who goes into politics like immediately off the mind is thinking like I'm gonna be evil and I'm gonna
Yeah.
like want to screw people over, but it just it happens like it that environment.
Yeah. So are you for
turns
healthcare for all?
Yes,
But you don't trust the government.
but I don't trust the government.
That's
I'm
a tough
aware.
one. That's a tough.
That's the thing is like I guess I believe in the idea of
Yeah.
government and I believe in what great things like democracy could do, but our
You believe in it,
current
yeah.
state of it
Yeah.
I don't trust to do the right things,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm like
I know. That's why I'm kind of when people say like, you know, free college and free healthcare, where I'm like, well, we can't even trust our government
Exactly,
right now.
like,
That's why I'm
I
always like minimal
fully-
government. I'm so pro like, limited government or
Yeah.
small government over big government every single day, and I don't trust them. I don't trust the
Yeah.
corruption. There's very few politicians that is there any politician that you actually trust?
trust is like, yeah, I would say no for like that I would support, like AOC I would support.
Why would you support fucking Alexa Crazy?
Because because
But
I
we're
think
gonna be
Why do you think she
respectful.
is? No, keep going. I want
because
to hear
I
this.
feel that we hold a lot of the same values.
Well, give me one
and,
value.
like just the idea of human rights and respect, and the way that she's fought for, especially the younger generation.
What's she
In
done
that
to
sense,
fight for the younger generation? Like, what has she done?
just in supporting our voices and supporting the idea of having us be heard. But that's the thing is, I still wouldn't say that I trust her. I don't trust anyone in.
All right.
She runs off a lot of like victimization for the people, and she'll do a lot of
Publicity.
how do I say this word?
Publicity?
Publicity
There you
stunts.
go.
I got you.
She
That
got
kind of makes me lack like my trust in her.
Mhm.
One example is her. I don't know. This came out years ago. Her crying at the border of this like fence on the border, like the Mexico-U.S. border, crying. Like it was like a photo shoot, and you look over. She's not looking at anything. She's not looking at any. There isn't like people on the other
Yeah.
side. There isn't anything, and it was just
That's
like the
thing
weirdest.
of it's like I still like I can't like trust anyone, but then it's also part of me is like it's like almost like playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this idea because
Oh yeah, they play the game. I mean, I think she
I think
plays
they
the
all
game.
play the game.
I think there's a
yeah.
lot of them, but they. Do you feel like though that there are certain faction of politicians that play the game and are succeed at it so well because the mainstream media is so liberally democratically
like favoritism
biased,
towards them.
incredibly, because
It might be the
because
bubble
those
also
because
that
those
I
people
live
are
in.
owned. They and Soros, they own the media.
Yeah,
I mean, they
and
control
it's
the
also
media.
like it is part of the bubble that I live in. Like in social media, like I'm not going to actively. Well, I mean sometimes, but like when like I'm scrolling on Instagram or like I'm like looking at things on TikTok, like I don't know. It's like that specifically isn't like the time or place for me to like actively be looking at people who go against my opinions.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a time and place for that in like situations and environments like this. But it's like maybe that's and that I know that has influenced me.
Yeah. Holy.
And like
Cool.
I will fully admit that. But it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that I think all that influence is bad in a sense. I don't think all influence has to be. I think everyone is influenced by everything always.
Well, but are they balanced in their perception though? Are they truly balanced though? So
do you
that's
mean?
I think a question you have to ask. Well, yeah, your influence. If you just hear one thing, one side of everything, that you're influenced by it. Of
Yeah.
course, obviously. But do you take the effort to look at the other sides?
Well, that's why I think like doing things like this is like what's important is taking that effort to look.
Or I always.
I don't
see
know.
stuff
You
online.
guys
I
have been
think a
hugging and kissing a
majority-
lot. I don't know.
I
This
don't know.
is-
I would say like for me personally, like
Holy shit.
I'm kind of forced to go and look at other things because everything the first thing I always see always has like a liberal like spin to it, or the Republicans did this, or the Republicans banned
Yeah.
this, or the Republicans voted. Like I see all that negative towards what I know that I cling towards, like to believe. So I always have to go like the extra leg to say like, okay,
Yeah.
now
What
what are they
really
really
happened?
what really
really
happened? And a lot of
happened?
times it's like, well, this sucks because everyone else is getting this version of it when they're not gonna look at this and be like, okay, like this is what was said, this is what was done, this is what was voted
I also think
on.
people just believe things too easily when
Yeah.
they see them the first
Oh my
time.
gosh.
Do you think that they
Absolutely.
believe it
And
because
then
they
they-
want to believe it? It's a shortcut to thinking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's human nature.
Oh yeah, like you want the easy way. You want the first
'Cause
thing
you don't
want
wanna
to
think.
be right.
Yeah.
Life's hard enough.
It's
Who wants to
hard.
think about shit? Do you watch mainstream media?
I don't know. I'll read the Wall Street Journal is what I tend to believe. That I think we did like this fact check like bias thing in like class, and that leans more right. But I've kind of
Barely, but
barely,
it's,
but
dude,
it's pretty in there.
I agree.
It's a
But
good-
when
The
we did
Journal's
like the
probably
thing,
the
it was
last
actually Wall Street Journal is last one that kind
non-biased
of goes.
thing.
But there was like, but that's what I read. Occasionally I'll watch Tucker, but again, like when I watch that, it's like I'm gonna get what I want to hear, and I'm gonna get like you got to understand right now that
Right.
you are gonna get exactly what you want to hear. You're
And
not
maybe
really gonna
that's
be
like the
disappointed,
most
and that's
important part is like acknowledging,
acknowledging
that
it.
like
It's not
yeah,
news.
I know
it's
I'm
media.
looking at
Yeah.
yes.
Same
Like I
with
know I'm
CNN
looking
and
at what I
everything, and-
want to hear.
Yeah.
Right. it's mindfulness of what you're doing and doing
Yeah.
it either on purpose or not purpose.
Yeah.
But
not even what I want here is what I'm going to like agree with. It's one side that I'm going to agree with. So it's not like made up stuff that they're like perpetuating, but like what an issue that I'm the side of the issue that
It's
I'm
a
gonna agree on
perspective
it.
that
Yeah,
you're gonna
and
agree
that-
with, and connect with probably
And-
more
yeah, and I
than having to be
enjoy-
like
I
angry at a
enjoy-
screen.
yeah. And they're just like bashing Democrats. I'm like, yeah, like, oh yeah, and I bet you do that with
Oh, I
CNN.
do the
you're like,
exact same thing where I'm like, yeah, fuck
yeah,
conservatives.
yeah, like absolutely, like, and sometimes it's just nice. It's like when you don't
Yeah.
have anyone to talk to, it's just like, oh, let's watch
You got a
some
little
Fox.
solid.
Or,
yeah, because it makes you feel comfortable, right? It makes you
Yeah.
feel
It
like, I'm
affirms
not
that, like,
alone.
okay, I'm not
confident in
It
what
crazy.
affirms.
confident
Well,
in
that's
what
what the
you're
algorithm
agreeing
is
at.
supposed to do. All algorithms are supposed to do that.
Yeah,
That's the
affirm
whole
that you're
goal
not crazy in your thinking.
of, and then the question is, does it make you more crazy? I don't think it makes you more crazy, but I think you have to be more mindful then to say, all right, I got to step out of this, and I have to either confirm what I'm doing. I have to fact check.
Yeah.
It's harder and harder to fact check.
Yeah, because it's so hard to find actual just like sources that tell you a story that's not gonna be swayed, because every single thing is going to have bias. Like you cannot.
And it's about identifying that and like understanding what.
And
you're,
and maybe that is the like
reading.
acknowledging and
that's
identifying.
what like in my like field of study, that's like the biggest thing where it's like.
Oh,
To
yeah, I
find
bet.
actual like honest like information, like sometimes it's gonna be very hard. So it's about like analyzing like specific even words that they might choose. It's all about knowing how to do that. I think you should pick something again that will really like just
Give us a little.
I don't know if I should pick. I don't like picking these. This makes me feel
I
very
know,
uncomfortable. I feel very uncomfortable picking. I don't like to. What do you think? Come on. There's got to be something that when you look at Lucy and you go, you know what? I want to know.
Look at that liberal girl.
Yeah, I want to know
Like
about.
something that
I want to
just
about being
pisses
queer
that
or gay,
blue-haired
or I want to know
Yeah.
about racism. And what do you think about that?
yeah.
Or like gun control. I bet
Or
we.
gun control or
maybe? I don't
abortion.
know.
How do
You
you-
got a topic
yeah.
you want to bring up?
Say like
What do you feel?
here's a few things that we could just
Okay.
talk about.
What do
That
you
I
feel
know that
passionate
and then
about?
we could talk about school shootings.
Okay.
We could talk about white privilege.
Okay.
We could talk about pronouns.
I don't know. Shootings, I'm going to say no because I don't think. I mean, where are you going to be on shootings that you could be anything
How are we
other
gonna
than
solve
agreeing
like
with?
I don't know.
Like
how are
gun
we-
control.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, you don't want that one.
I mean, I love gun control, but I think we're all
COVID vaccines.
I feel like we're still gonna be pretty like similar on gun control, with the fact of like I personally believe that like you do have the right to like own arms and things like that, but I don't think you have the right to own like I don't even know what it's called.
AK-47?
AK-47.
AR-15.
and I do think that you should, like have to be registered and have to
Great,
know
next.
how to use a
No.
gun. And I was like, I feel like we're gonna
Okay, so we could do vaccines,
off.
be okay.
white privilege, pronouns. Do we have?
They'll all go under. Pronouns are on there.
Yeah.
They'll all go
Think
under
of it.
35 rando.
They're 46 is pronouns.
46, I think, is pronouns. Yeah, pronouns.
I feel
is
like we're still gonna be
46.
pretty. I don't know. Maybe
I don't
not.
know.
Maybe not. All right, let's go pronouns.
Okay, let's start with pronouns.
Because
Okay.
I'll be honest, I really want to I've been waiting for someone to pick that, but I don't want to
Okay.
fucking pick it.
Pronouns.
But
So
here's
before
what
we start,
I
before we
all right,
start-
so we're gonna talk about pronouns. So I'm gonna
My
I'm gonna
pronouns?
ask the question.
Yes.
No, we're not gonna ask what yours is. I'm gonna ask the question is, I don't fucking understand it.
Okay.
So I need someone to explain it to me in detail.
Do you want to hear both of our explanations? or-
Yeah, and I
Okay.
want to understand. I understand what he and she means. I want to understand why
them.
it's so important.
Okay.
I don't agree that
What-
is important or relevant. That's kind of.
I want to understand why it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
And I
you can
would
start.
say that. So like, do you understand how to use like they them and stuff? Because like I had to explain it to like
No,
my mom
I
at
can
one
s-
point, and there was a good analogy that I found. So like, imagine you just like found a wallet and you didn't know, you would give it to someone to be like, oh, can you give it to them? And that's a singular person. That's not multiple people. When you don't fully know the gender of someone, you would just use them, and like it's like grammatically correct.
them seems like plural though.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
know, but like
multiple
they
people.
or-
plural. You're right, but grammatically
them.
it can be singular. Like if I was like, I'm
Or
trying
I
to-
don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know them. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know whose this is. Like, can you give it
So
to them?
they're neutral based then.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not
neutral.
identified as a male or a female.
Yes. And
Okay.
And again, that's okay. Now I'm trying to think of like why I think they're important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I personally, I'm a like that. There's he, she, and them. Like I don't. It's not that I don't agree. I'll respect them if someone like wants to be called, done, or like referred to as something else. I don't really think that's necessary. Other than those three, I think those are pretty good, large umbrella terms that work.
So it's breaking. Is it breaking down the male female?
Yeah, I just think that
the male
some
female.
Binary?
Hold on. No, don't use that word yet. Why using the binary? Not in binary or non-binary.
No, I'm just saying like the binary, like the two ends of it. In that sense.
Yeah, that it's breaking that down and that we shouldn't be defined as that.
I think if you want to be defined as one or the other, you fully should be able to. But I also think if you don't want to be defined, you shouldn't have to. Like, if it makes someone uncomfortable to be referred to as a male and to be identified as a male, then they shouldn't.
And I actually can appreciate that and understand that. I can appreciate that and understand that to a point. I just feel like it's such a small section of society.
Oh, yeah.
Like of the 7 billion people on the earth,
It's
I don't feel
growing,
like
though.
40, 50, 80% of it is, well, you know what?
But I mean, also think about in the U.S. In the U.S., it's large. Like, when we're thinking of just... It's...
Of the 330, 40 million people?
Like, I don't know about foreign countries. I don't know about how big it is. Like, specifically focusing on the U.S., I think, like, the queer community with, like, gender and things like that is quite large.
What? I don't know what quite large is. Your quite large could be 100 people, or it could be 100 million people. I don't know what quite large is, so you have to.
I would say, okay, I'm like trying to think of like when I was in, but I go to like a pretty liberal school, so that doesn't work. I was gonna say like in one of my classes, 3 people used they, and it had
out of how many people in the class? 30, 25.
Yeah.
So 10%.
Yeah. But I also do go and I take very, like.
So considering the source, so it's maybe 5%?
Maybe. But I just don't think that those people don't deserve to be, like,
1,000 times I agree. I don't think they should be fucking chastised or not have that ability to do that. But I also think that should it become it's almost like it's propagating that to be the norm. Like I get asked all the time, like, well, what's your pronoun? How do you want me to? I'm like, I don't even know or fucking care. So why are you asking me that? If I tell you, I'll tell you. Like, and I'm all right with telling you.
But yeah, like, why is it such a big deal to then just say, oh, she, her?
Well, part of it is because I think people don't understand. I think it's because they don't fucking stand. They don't understand what is being asked. They truly just don't understand. And they don't understand. They also don't understand why it's important. And then they go back to, and I think hey, look, there's either male or female. That's it. Are there transvestites? Of course. And are there folks that are born anatomically male and female? Yes, of course. Yeah. Absolutely, right? But it's such a, and I'm not, just because it's a small percentage doesn't mean that they should be chastised or thrown away. I'm not fucking saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that it's like almost we change everything for this little teeny amount.
But I think in our society, if you are that little percent, you are chastised. Which
sucks and is bullshit.
So it's like
and should have fucking never happened.
Making it more so normal.
So they want to make it more normalized. So and I can appreciate that. I dig that.
I think so too.
And I mean, if people, people didn't fucking burn witches, you wouldn't have to fucking make them so bad.
The thing is, it all like
those dumbasses did that back in the 1600s. It just breeds,
I feel like, out of wanting to feel normal.
Yeah, and to fit in, and they fucking should. They should. Mm-hmm. But I think in the process though, a huge amount of people feel like abnormal and something's wrong with them now because they don't understand. They just
But I think that's an education issue that we need to
agree, and it's a generational thing too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Huge. That's an older thing.
And like where in a location. Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on pronouns? Like what?
I really agree on your point that it's such a small percentage of, the population. I think it's actually like 0.0004% of your chances being born with gender dysphoria. And when you say, oh, it's been growing, I think that's honestly, I will argue that that's like a cultural issue that's arising, that our social media, that our media is like influencing young children that, oh, if you don't actually align with like boy like things, you're probably, you're a girl, you're they them. You don't have to do that. And I just think like gender roles like are not everything. Like I think of like one of my closest like family friends growing up was the biggest tomboy ever. Like I remember meeting her and being like, are you a boy or a girl? She's a girl. She just literally was a tomboy.
Yeah.
And now today she's just this girl. Like kids are always discovering themselves. And I think that influence, even going into like middle school kids are like coming out as like transgender. And and this whole thing about letting children under the age of 18 transitioning, I think is just like preposterous.
Yeah,
like,
that's
I think
my question. Like, what age should
over
a human
18? Are you
being
kidding
be
me?
allowed? Like, what do you think?
I think 25, but honestly, like when you're 18, you can do what you want. And the thing is also like if you decide to do that, or if you tell me your pronouns are they them, I'm not gonna be a dick. Like I'm not gonna be freaking rude.
And I think that's like the
like
most
I don't
important
like,
thing.
and that's like if you ask me to say like zays or I mean fuck off. I'm not calling you that. I'll do they them like absolutely,
How about
and
it?
I'll try my heart.
I go by it.
No.
Like cousin
I
it.
always say, honestly, I poke fun at it a lot, and I'm like, well, my pronouns are pizza self, like, or I'll say that, or
Nothing wrong
because
with that.
honestly, it's just gotten
Cold
so
pizza.
dragged out so much where people are like, I don't give a crap but
Which
I
sucks
do,
because it kills the whole point
because
of it.
honestly,
That's
like
what
I do
sucks.
like
That's
understand the
been
inclusivity
dragged, is that it's like,
part.
oh, they're asking for so much, and they're asking for like these, but like in reality, I have never once, and I go to and I hang out with like a very like queer area. I have never once had someone ask me anything other than they them. That's also just like my personal experience. So I think it's like it's just dragged out.
It's on like
then
TikTok where it's like stitched, and I'm like,
I know.
what?
It's like
Yeah.
that's so online. And then it gives a bad rap then to like just the overall.
Yeah.
But like
The
what you were
meaning.
saying about influence, I think that's so important. But it's like
You think it's important for younger kids, like when they're in elementary
no,
school?
I just think it's an important like thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Like just the idea of influence that because like
Do you think
there
should be an
is-
age? Do you think there should be an age where they can?
We're like,
I think 18 when you can make decisions for yourself on your body.
yeah, and
I
you
think we
don't
should.
know yourself like enough, and
And
it's
I
just you don't have to
But
stick
the-
like boy. I think it's like we just got to change like the narrative. Like it's okay for boys to like girl things, and it's okay for girls to
And
like boy
that's,
things. It's
like,
fine if you want to play
completely,
with dolls and
though-
you're a little boy. It doesn't mean if you want to
Who
wear
gives a fuck?
literally.
But I think that's a completely different issue than the idea. I think that there are parts of it that stem from that of like this gender confusion of it's like, oh, well, I like more masculine things. Does this mean I'm a boy? And that is where like all of this stems from is this huge binary of that we have.
Right.
Girls are on this side,
Right.
boys are on this side,
Dicks
and we're
are here,
so
pussies here.
divided. And then that has created all this confusion. But then I think the solution isn't necessarily then like blaming then the people who do transition or do want to be in the middle. It's more this.
Well, I think it's an age
binary.
thing. That people are. I think people have a challenge with like saying at a 10-year-old and encouraging a 10-year-old to change.
But like I personally, maybe that's just like a personal thing, but like I haven't seen that. Like I think just like asking for someone's pronouns, I don't think that's influencing. I don't think
No,
that's
I don't think so either.
encouraging.
well,
But I feel like that is.
There is parts. So like mom, like she's like, a teacher, and she's like in school, like they don't say like boys and girls as much anymore.
or they won't say that with like Disney either. They'll say like, hi friends. Disney has taken some heat for
But,
that
we're,
as
like,
well.
we're
I
moving
don't-
more towards robots.
But-
You guys don't realize that. That's
But
what's
I don't
happening.
think
The
that-
Oh my
robots
gosh,
are
that is
taking
such
over.
a good point. Yeah.
I'm kind of serious
Yeah,
about it,
no,
actually.
literally.
So when you talk to
don't
Siri, you
know.
should say please and thank you, because if you don't have good manners, Siri's gonna come in and kill
I don't know.
you.
I don't see anything wrong with changing it from hi friends. I don't think we should scrutinize and burn people who say hi boys and girls, but I just don't
Right,
think there's
if
anything
people-
wrong with being more inclusive if we can.
But are we
But
not
then it's just-
inclusive by calling somebody a boy or a girl?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I would say that's reinforcing a binary. if they don't want to be in that. Like I personally, I'm okay being in that binary. I'm okay being referred to as a girl because it's what I connect with. I grew up in this body and I feel comfortable in this body and my womanhood and things like that. But it's like when you think about like, okay, what does then define what's a girl and a boy? Like how would you define a girl and a boy?
Well, females defined scientifically.
I was going to say not scientifically. I'm talking
Well,
about
I mean, it's just simply
Well, our
scientifically.
psychology is different. Our parts are different. Our strengths, our weaknesses are all different.
But like,
again, I just think like going back to pronouns, like I just don't think it's relevant to like ask like every single person everywhere.
And yeah,
what
you
their
might not
pronouns
need
are.
to. Yeah, I mean, like
But-
I don't personally ask every person I meet what are your pronouns, but like I
I
don't
don't.
mind in class. Like usually the first day the professor asks like, "What are your pronouns?" and like you just share it with your name. Like I'm okay with that.
Does
I
the
don't
professor
think-
remember it every time?
Yeah, usually like yeah. I mean,
They
they'll-
better
they'll
do it every
probably
time
only
if they're gonna
remember,
ask.
like anybody who said other
I
than
couldn't
what they
remember
would
that.
look like.
How could you remember 30 times 5 classes?
But
3
there was
because
probably-
really there's
so there's
three
only three.
options, and a majority, you are right, go with what they visualize on
as.
the outside, appear as. And so you really only have to make for those special few just to make them feel
Yeah.
like they're
I just-
normal
I don't
with
know.
it.
Again, like just the whole thing about pronouns, like I don't think it needs to be in everyone's Instagram bio. Like it's just kind of like
Overkill.
like overkill.
It might be overkill, but I don't know. I think it's okay to
But,
make those people feel
I-
less outcasted,
do-
because then it's not as weird
Yeah.
when they have them in theirs.
I guess the thought.
I
behi-
do understand that inclusivity point, but I don't know if I'm on board with it being as relevant, or we've kind of overstepped
As, like,
its
such a
relevancy.
pressure.
Well, I think the thing is if we weren't so fucked up as human beings, we wouldn't have to do it.
Oh yeah, like I fully agree.
Like, if
that
we could
the
just be
biggest part is the
somewhat
binary. Like
tolerant.
I don't in the way that I think it all stems from the fact of that we have such strict guidelines for what is feminine and what is masculine, and how femininity is specifically tied to women and masculinity is specifically tied to men.
Also, though, some of that though has been brewing for like 5,000 fucking years, and you can't change it
well
with a fucking stinking some law or some kind of
fully, yeah.
form on social media. Like it doesn't change overnight. It takes a long time to change human nature in that sense. But
That's why I think this is a very, very small step. But like forward is like people are challenging these.
yeah, we're becoming more
binaries.
robots. I mean, we're becoming.
I don't think it's more robots.
See,
Well, I
I
don't
think it's
know.
becoming more just being one universal.
Do you think that's like bad in a sense?
No.
Well, I think it's like erasing women sometimes with the whole like transgender like.
And you're
issues too.
erasing women.
Yeah.
I think you're
Like,
erasing
there's
men
nothing
too.
that really defines like woman or men. Like you can just be a woman if you want.
If you could just be an entity, if you're just
You can
being
just be a man if you
asexual
wanna be
and
a
an
man.
entity, then you're Michael Jackson. Which is, whatever. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but kind of not.
I don't know, because it's like I think about
kind
that
of
a
like
lot
some of that
like,
gender role.
Yeah.
I don't like the
sometimes
I don't
do
like the negative
gender
parts of
role.
it, but I like
yeah,
the
like,
positive parts of it.
There's a lot of parts of like that I enjoy about
Being a woman.
being
Holy
a woman.
crap.
Yeah, like I like love the idea.
Getting free drinks, literally like
Yeah.
there's so many there's also cons, and that's just the way life goes. Like some shit
Mm-hmm.
sucks about being a girl, and some shit sucks about being a man.
Or like I think about
your
the
mental health is never
Yeah.
taken seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always supposed to be these
And I don't-
strong people.
Yeah, there's
And I don't want to
that's
feel
what I
big
feel
bad
like
about
it's
being
good about
a guy who
breaking
likes to
that
go out
stuff
and chop wood.
down.
And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that I want to then break that stuff down.
see, and I don't want that broken down. I like feeling good about going.
But then don't you not like that people make you feel bad about either like having
Wait, say
emotions?
that. Wait, say that to me again. That was like almost a double.
I know, that
negative.
wasn't a-
Don't
I
you
didn't
not
say
not
that.
like? Wait, say that again.
So, like, one of like the cons of being a man is like that your mental health isn't taken seriously. Like, wouldn't you want that
Correct.
changed?
Yeah, but does it necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen?
Well,
Is that because one thing happens? Is that what's going to happen?
see?
Because I don't know if it is. Because I haven't seen any of that fucking happen, even close. I mean,
Well,
I
it's like
think
the
I think
idea of
one
being
side
a-
gets they them, but I don't see anything where mental
Well,
health
think
is
about
being
for
addressed for
women.
men.
So like the idea for
Even like a
stay-at-home
small
mom.
like percentage of like men who suffer with like mental health. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like, but still like.
Right. I don't see them
Or
getting
like
help.
this. So like, and I
Yeah.
went through this of like the idea that, oh, I hated being the idea of like a self-at-home mom, and I hated the idea of like, oh, I don't want to be confined to a family, blah, blah, blah. Until I realized, like, okay, but that is what I want. I just hated that because that was getting shit on because we were now uplifting more powerful women in, like, the sense of, like,
Yeah.
careers and things like that. But now I think it's a lot better, and I think we just need to, like, move this then to other things of, like, a stay-at-home mom is just as powerful as a CEO,
Yeah.
a female CEO.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
those are on equal. So I feel like
She's
you
the
can
CEO of the family.
Yes.
Right.
I feel
Of
like you
course.
should be able to say, oh, this
Right.
man who likes to go out and chop lumber is just as powerful and as good of a human
We're
as
not-
this man
we
who
don't
likes
feel
to
that way.
cry sometimes.
We don't feel that way.
Who
Men don't feel that way.
men never cry.
No, men don't feel that way. I'm saying that men don't feel loved unconditionally.
I know. I'm
There's a
saying
condition
they
for
should.
male love. There's a condition. Men are they have to. They're
That's what
there
I'm
for.
hoping is that feminine traits can
Yeah.
be entered into the masculine world, such as like having emotions and like mental health. and
Yeah.
Yeah,
things
you
like
hope, but we don't see any of
without
that. I mean, women
erasing
and
masculine
children
traits.
and animals are loved unconditionally. Men are not. There's a condition for their love.
What is it?
To provide. To provide.
I think there's a part of that with women, in the sense of
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying that I think generally speaking, women are loved unconditionally. Women and,
You
and
think in
children
this-
and animals are loved unconditionally. And
see,
I don't
I
think
would
men
disagree.
are. I wish men were.
At least
Kind of understand that point of view.
politically, like,
Oh, I don't know about politically.
or like when you look at it in society, I don't think women are loved unconditionally. I think women are hated.
Yeah,
a
men.
lot.
Well, low-key men like always cheat and they leave and they divorce and they like find better and they move on. Where women are like, oh, I want one person.
Yeah. Like, I think of it in that sense of like, I am most definitely not loved unconditionally in the government.
Well, I wasn't talking from the government because I don't.
Or,
care.
like,
I don't
in
think the government
society.
loves
In the
anybody.
family.
They're not there to love. I don't want my government to love me.
In
I don't want to go.
society.
I don't ever want my government to love me. That's not their role. Is to love or feel emotion. Their role is to protect.
But so, like, your condition is to provide.
So, yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about what's the matter.
Because that one made my head hurt.
That one made you hurt? Oh, good. Let's continue on with that then. All right, abortion. Let's talk about abortion.
Okay.
They gotta pick the questions.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, aren't you?
No,
gonna ask
well-
No, that's why I looked at you guys. What's your question?
I'll start with
Tell me.
abortion.
Okay.
I'm Republican, so I want the government to stay the F out of my affairs and everything. I want less government. Which is ironic that Republicans take the side where they want to.
Why is that?
Yeah, that
what
is-
the? Why
Well,
the fuck
because
are they doing
the
that?
issue is not about that. It's about when does the government guarantee rights to a human? Is it in the womb? Is it at conception, or is it at the live birth? That's what the whole argument is about. Is when is anyone guaranteed those rights by the government? Morally, I would always say, like, all life has equal value. I think the whole concept is a lose-lose situation. You can't really decide someone else's morals. I've kind of taken it down the road that, like, some people, here's long story short. I think abortion is murder. I think it's selfish. I think it's shallow. I think it's disgusting. I don't want to hear you talk about it, but I believe in your right to go and do it. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So, and I
agree
don't
with
want to
that.
hear about you glamorizing it and bragging about it. And I don't believe like these celebrities that get on the podiums and be like, we need to talk about abortion at the dinner table. No, you don't. I don't want to hear about it. It's a sad, tragic decision where you sometimes you just got to do what's right for you in your situation.
Unless
Go
you're
do
using
that.
it, unless you're using it as birth control, which
Yeah,
is-
exactly.
makes it a
Yeah.
thousand
the
times
thing
Yeah.
is,
worse.
people aren't using it as birth
Yeah,
control.
They're not?
Like,
Nobody
no.
does?
Okay, I'm sorry, not nobody, but I feel like that is.
And I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a big argument that like pro-lifer side is like they're just using it because they're like slutty sluts and they just want to
No,
go
I think
fuck
they use it
everyone.
because it's easy.
Having an abortion is not
Yeah.
easy.
It's
no,
actually when
I'm
you look
saying
at
it
it.
there are just. I didn't say that it was.
Okay, sorry.
I did not say
We'll
that
tell
it was.
some.
I said that some use it as that. That it's an easier choice to say. Well, I can easily
We
do that.
want to go through the effort of getting on birth control and having to go through like
or
get
abstinence,
that
or
or
condoms,
yeah,
or
we don't
raising
wanna-
a
that's too
child
much,
for
yeah. But
25
abortion
years.
is just easier. So, but I don't think people
But
like
I don't
intend
think
or
it
want to
is the
put
easier
themselves in
option.
that position.
I think that literally anything else would, maybe not anything. Okay, maybe raising the child would be harder, but I think there are so many other options that are easier. Having a condom, I think that's 10 times easier.
But people don't do that in the moment where they're
I
like,
know,
oh, it's fine.
that's-
It's like it's whatever.
or getting on
It's not a
birth,
big
like-
deal. Like it'll be fine.
But I don't
nothing
think
will
people
happen.
like actively go out and are like, I'm gonna have sex unprotected, and then I'm gonna go get an abortion because it's they want to. Like I've
Just,
never.
yeah. I just
Well, I
feel
didn't
like
say they
maybe
use it in the same sense as that.
maybe you're saying like more like they're so like they take such advantage of, oh, I can just get an abortion if I get pregnant. It's not a big deal. You know, and maybe is that what you're saying?
what
Like,
yeah, they don't
or-
take it as seriously
take it as
as you're
serious.
saying that
and
it is.
that's what pisses me off. Yeah,
Right.
it pisses me. I think like
That's what I'm saying.
Why are we pretending like, you know, all lives don't have equal value? Like your life, like
At what point, I would ask, do you consider it a life? Like at conception?
yeah, it's a human being. It's life. Like I'm saying, like yeah, you can go get an abortion, but like, come on, like why? What are we kidding ourselves? Like it's science. Like
See,
if-
I personally would agree. I would say it's just a clump of cells at that point.
well, here's what I would. So the whole thing, it's hard because like, it's a moral standpoint. So when you look at like vegetarians, there's some
Yeah.
vegetarians who believe like eating an animal, that's murder. Like killing an animal and eating it, that's murder.
Yeah.
I don't.
yeah.
And it's going to be very, very hard for you to convince me that it is. Because
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
yeah.
Same thing with me telling you that, like, I
Yeah.
think killing a baby, you're just not going to,
Mhm.
believe that. Like, murder is such a huge concept to, like, people believe what murder is what they think it is.
yeah.
You know, it's just, you can't really
And
change
yeah,
those.
it's
And that's what sucks about the
so-
whole issue. So I say it's a lose-lose situation, but I'll always, like, say this, that, like, I'll always advocate for a change in culture over a change in law. I want our culture, I want our society to,
That's a fucking huge statement.
like,
Yeah.
to
That's a giant
admire life and to respect life.
statement. Say that again.
A change in, I'll always advocate for, do I look at the camera and say this? But,
That's
okay, whatever.
awesome. Say it again.
I'll always advocate for a change in culture over a change in law. So I'll
That's
always,
beautiful.
you know, encourage, you know, life is important. Like all life has equal value. Your value doesn't come from your mother who gets to decide that for you after you've already been fertilized. Your value comes from God or whatever source that we all come from. So
Can I
it
ask
just
then?
disgusts me every time people, you know, well, these pro-choice people on the street, like just getting so disgusting and shallow where it's almost like I'm always like, yeah, ban abortion because I can't, like, I don't want to look as stupid
See,
as
I
these
think
people
of
right
that
now.
as though the pro-lifers, when they're like, when they have all these signs of like, it's human life and it's blah blah blah, and like that they're making that argument and they're showing me these dead babies outside of abortion clinics, and they're standing there with these signs harassing these women who have to make this horrendous decision. I see that, and it just, that's what like disgusts me more than a woman choosing to do that.
And this might be from a biased point of view, but I think those like protests happen less than like the very powerful like March for Life, which is very encouraging to women. And I would also, you know, argue is I hate when people, you know, try to justify abortion as, oh, it's gonna be born poor, or it's not gonna have a good life, or it's gonna suffer, we should just kill it. I'm just like, okay, if you're gonna be pro-choice, okay, but let's just not talk about like justify like suffering as
But
an
aren't
excuse.
how would you identify then with like on either side of it?
Yeah, I would be pro-choice, but I don't like saying that because I
Okay.
get so disgusted and enraged over it. But yeah,
Like
I
you're
would
very,
not.
like, pro-life for yourself and things like that, but like you want that
Yeah,
choice
and I
other
would
women.
encourage pro-life for everyone else. But at the end of the day, like I wouldn't support. I'm not opposed to Roe v. Wade being overturned. I don't think it is a constitutional. It's not like the federal government's, you know, responsibility, which is what it was all over. Now it just gives it to the states. So I'm not like opposed to that. I think it is up to the states to decide whether they want to allow abortion. I'd also argue, like, this is not like the 1800s. Like, if your state bans abortion, just cross state lines. Like, you'll be fine.
But you can go to jail if you come back.
Is that true?
Yeah. Because
I don't know.
It's only
and
if
the doctors can be, if you perform it.
I don't know if that's true. I'd have to fact check that.
Well, like, I think about the sense
Jared.
Jared. Think about the sense of, like, okay, so yeah, like, okay, it should go back to the states. So real. You know what? It should just go back to, like, the local counties. Okay, let's just give it back to the local families. Like, just putting it back with the women, I think that deserves to be protected. I think that it's not my choice to have an abortion should be protected. It's that it's my choice, period, should be protected.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel then, I feel like then even, like, less confident in the government of, like, that they are going to protect me and things like that.
Well, it's kind of ironic that the Republicans,
I think that's
the less
so
government
ironic.
guys,
Yeah.
they
The Democrats
support
want
less
more
government.
protection
Right.
and everything. But
It is, and I almost sometimes feel like, gosh, you can't teach your people and that it's wrong. You can't teach them. You can't educate them enough. You don't
Yeah.
feel confident
I was
enough
about to say,
in
what
your
do you
own
think the
fucking beliefs
solution?
that you have to
'Cause,
have
like,
control over it, and you have to control it. Like, that bothers me.
Because
It
I have
bothers
my,
me a little
like,
bit.
because, like, okay, I personally believe that, like, our sex education system is, like, could be a huge turning point to, like, less abortions and less unplanned pregnancies and less things like that. I think because our sex education is so bad in schools that like, if we change that, and if we change that narrative of, like, it is okay to talk about the fact that, like, you need to wear a condom and you need to do these things.
did that not happen in wellness? Didn't we take that in wellness?
But in, like,
Just around the corner.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's in such a, like, we also live in a very, like, progressive state of in the sense of, like, that, but
Here in Minnesota,
yeah,
we do.
Well, also just in Apple Valley and at Eastview, like, it's a much more, I think we have, like, Eastview did a much better job, maybe not great, but a much better job. But, like, so, like, at college, there's, like, this, like, sex awareness club or, like, whatever, I don't know, but they held, like, a sex trivia night or something like that, and it was so much fun. And we went, and I mean, I learned things that, like, I just did not know. And I don't know, I think it should be less of a taboo topic. Like, sex is something that happens. It's something that people do to procreate. It's something that we do for
Not
pleasure.
always, right?
I was about to say, I also think
that's
that it
fine.
should be for more than just to procreate. And
Right.
I think there's only so much schools can do before they're, like, crossing, like, parental rights, and I think
That
that's
is
the
true,
biggest
yeah.
But the problem is though that parents don't do it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then if the school doesn't intervene,
they don't
and the
learn
government
it
doesn't
everywhere.
intervene, then what the fuck is going to happen? Because the
I
parents are
know.
too busy working. They're
I
going to
know.
fucking jobs they hate and getting in,
I
road
think
rage on their
parents
way
should
home.
know exactly. The schools should make it as crystal clear
Very
as possible.
clear as to what they're
What
talking
they're
about.
going over. Everything else is your responsibility.
But then it's like, I don't
Some parents
know.
just really don't give a shit. So
Yeah.
No.
and I really didn't
'Cause
have
you-
like the talk with my parents because
'cause-
it's freaking awkward and
Oh, it's
weird.
so awkward.
Cause-
But
And I
that's
will
what
die
would love
on the
to
hill that I have
change.
never touched a guy in my life. Like I will literally die on that hill
'Cause
because
you-
I will never let anybody know that.
I love that.
Yeah, I will never. I don't even want to look at Greg. I never have. So it's like
What?
I never have
I don't
kissed
know,
a guy
so-
before.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Sex is number one.
I
We
guess
al-
like,
it always
sex
comes back
is-
to
it
that.
always-
Yeah.
Always comes back to number one. I tell people, right, Jared? I tell them to do number one right out of the gate.
Maybe it's because I'm so
It's just
like
weird and
confident with
awkward.
like, or not confident, but like especially in, like, our household, like bodies and like stuff, like growing up, like that was never like a taboo
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, but also
But
it's
that's also
like,
how I was just
how much
raised.
education do you know that if you have sex you could get pregnant?
That's really, you should only
Like-
need a very little.
Like
But like
literally,
the
it's just
fact
like
that like condoms
Takes once.
break. Like
Yeah.
There was someone, and this is not calling them. I don't even know their name.
Well, let's
But
not.
we're in this
Yeah,
sex
that's
trivia.
There's more work for Jared.
We're in this sex trivia.
Bleep
thing,
out.
and
their name.
it's so funny. And like one of the things was about like what's like the percentage like a condom can break, or like the like things that like, or like what can make a condom break, like having it in
Pins
your
that
pocket.
go in the middle of them.
How did you know that?
Well, that's called nasty.
Oh no, because
nasty
well,
women
no,
that you're with.
Because
Any
from-
broad that's sticking pins through condoms is not a good human
no, but
being.
like you know, like having them in your wallet for too long, they rub. It's like it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
latex.
like 5-6 years is probably not a good idea, but some guys don't have sex.
That's
that
what I'm
much,
saying. Is
so.
then someone like speaks up and they're like, I didn't even know condoms could break. I was flabbergasted.
What do they think they're made
Yeah.
of? Steel?
I was genuinely
Jesus.
flabbergasted. But it's like, I don't know. It's maybe it's just like my own that like I do value like, or not value, but like I don't know. I don't think sex should be such like
A big thing.
yeah. I'm just like I don't know.
It is. It's a pretty big deal. Do you feel like
Yeah.
it's a pretty big deal? Should it be a big deal? I mean, is it that big of a deal?
What do you mean? Like, I think it should just be a private matter, and like the
See,
schools
yeah,
should
and
go
I
over
think it
it.
should be more
And it-
public.
But like wellness, I think it was like wellness too. I mean, like, I think they
covered a
did an
good
alright
bit for
good.
you.
Like, literally, it just comes out like to. I don't know what the solution is, but I don't know
Yeah.
if like more education is gonna help it. Like how much education do we need? It's
Yeah.
just. But I'd ask.
Right. Well, maybe enough to make it so it's not so
Or like a shame
scary
thing.
or a shame thing to people that they don't they if they want to talk about it, fine, but if you don't, just keep it
don't
to
have to.
yourself.
Yeah.
Just shut the
Or
fuck up and
maybe
just
it's
keep it to your
like-
own
yeah,
business.
or
Oh, so
And
maybe
there's nothing,
that's
and
more
that's
it.
actually a really great thing. Like, just keep it private. If it's a
Yeah.
private
Yeah,
thing,
if you
great.
want to keep it private,
You want to
Exactly.
run around all naked, then run around all naked. But if I don't want
Yeah.
to, I don't want to see you doing it. So just do it in your
No,
own
when you
hood.
talk about shame, it's also like
I know.
if we like stop shaming like women who like when they're younger and they get pregnant, maybe like 17, 18, 19, even in their
Yeah.
early 20s.
Right.
Yes.
Or shaming. I know it's really hard. Like again, we talked about how like babies should come in marriage, but a lot of times they won't, and that's
Yeah.
just the way it goes. And you can't expect that everyone's not having sex until they're married because
Yeah,
they are.
exactly.
So that stigma and that shame,
Right.
I guess
So
maybe
yeah,
that would
maybe
be part
that's
of the
more of
solution.
it. Yeah. Is getting rid of that. But
And
then
that's
it's like,
hard.
how do
yeah.
we get rid of that?
Yeah, how do we get rid of that?
How do you
I
get
guess-
rid of it without being a bunch of whores?
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
exactly.
and in my mind, it is education, and it's giving people the resources that if they would like to, they can
Yeah.
go in. But if they don't want to, then they don't have to.
Yeah, so yeah, I would just say like addressing that stigma
Mhm.
against it, and it's hard because even I'm kind of like, which this would never happen, but like if I got pregnant right now and I didn't have like
Never
a
happened.
father,
Yeah. and
I would
so
be
it was-
pretty like
Wait.
ashamed of myself. I
Oh,
wouldn't want to
for
go in
sure.
public. I would be thinking like, what are all these people
Mhm.
saying of me?
I
Where
think even the fact
where
when I
of course
dress
I would not
provocatively-
like get an abortion still, but I would understand why the pressure of somebody
Mhm.
else to go and do that, which I disagree with that, but
Mhm.
and I agree that they should be able to do that, but
Yeah.
I would want them to keep that
And I
baby
think that
in
Well,
comes
you-
down a lot to like the shame on sexual women, of women being sexual. Because I think of
I just
even-
don't think that's ever gonna go away though. This is just
I-
such
oh,
a lose-lose
no.
situation.
Again,
like,
we're going back 5,000 years.
I know, but you gotta
Right,
start
so
somewhere.
well, I agree. I'm not saying we don't start. I'm just saying it ain't gonna get fixed overnight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, so we can try to fix it tonight.
Solve all of the world issues.
What else we got here? This is
We've
we
kind
got
of
one-
covered a
we got
lot,
one
talking
last-
about like very
we've
little.
covered a lot. We've covered sex. We've covered education, sexual education for sure, political education, love,
marriage,
marriage,
relationships.
politics for
Thanks.
sure. A little bit of LGBTQ, not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta
a
do
little
it.
bit of childhood, definitely religion. For fuck's sake, we touched on parents a little bit. My God,
Jared's like, let
Uh,
me go home.
we heard some celebrities. You
Yeah,
talked
we
about
need
how
to-
much
back is hurting.
you hate celebrities. Children a little bit. We didn't talk about death. That's okay. We'll say that for next time.
So we'll just come back.
God,
We'll have another.
crime, pronouns.
Talk a little about booze.
A little bit. We did a little bit of rando there. You guys picked your own. You got to start it.
Right.
I'll give you one quick finish. What do you got?
Finish with what?
Whatever you want.
Like this? Like
Any-
from here?
Anything you
Anything
want
you
to
wanna say.
anything you want to finish with, and then I'm gonna give her the floor and see what she wants to finish with. So go ahead. It's whatever you want. Whatever you want to.
How do you feel
But you
about...
got to talk into that microphone though.
You're like,
You can come over there. Just bring that thing over though.
I don't know. How do you feel about Black Lives Matter?
I am a full supporter of the organization, and I personally believe that. Actually, let me think. No, yeah, I do stand behind, and I think, but I do think specifically as a white person, it's not necessarily like my place to always like speak up about it. Like if I'm around other people who have more experience, obviously in this situation probably not, but like if like I am around other black people, I'm going to let them speak over myself.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
understand that.
I don't.
How did Black Lives Matter start?
I don't know. You're asking about that. I think it started in like 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how did it start? Like who started it?
I don't know. I would have to. I support the idea that of black people fighting for more equal grounds and for and it's, I wouldn't say that I support like ACAB and like all cops are bastards, and because I think they're two very different things.
Yeah.
I think that they coexisted for a very long time of like they were very intertwined, but I think overall they are very
Well, that's because George Floyd.
yeah, that's what
That's
I'm saying.
the
is,
only
like, there
thing.
was a
That's
very-
the only reason that came up. But let me tell you something. There's been incidents of George Floyd for fucking you guys. That's just your generation of what happened 2 years ago. That's been going on for fucking 5,000 years.
That's what I'm saying. I think people are finally starting to say.
Nah, they're not. They did
I
that when
can't-
I was younger. It was the same thing
Well,
happened
then why is anything
30 years ago.
changed?
Well, it has changed. Things have changed. They have
But if
evolved.
you're saying George
They haven't
Floyd's
gotten
have
Floyd. They haven't
happened-
gotten. They
have
have.
happened throughout the years.
Look
then
up
why
Malice
hasn't
Green.
Anything changed?
Do research on Malice Green. Rodney.
But I know, but I'm asking you then why hasn't anything changed, Jeff?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Why things haven't changed? Because we're human beings. Because we change like fucking rocks. Because we're so slow at shit. It's true.
Yeah, and I bring
Bad
up Black
cops
Lives
in the world.
Matter because
Bad criminals too.
because of the organization and the heat that they've taken and their founders.
See, I would have to do more or like
Being- I
research
know.
into the
And
behind
and
that.
exactly, and I think a lot of people do because I agree with the idea in some parts. Well, obviously, like Black Lives Matter. Obviously, I'll say that,
Like the
and
blanket statement.
yeah, like I'm not gonna be like, oh no, get on here and try that one. But the organization is very controversial. The way that their founders and own multi-million-dollar homes, like
I
multiple
don't love
properties.
that.
Exactly, and they
I think-
failed the whole purpose of the thing, and
Yeah.
they have zero credibility now.
That's kind of like what we were talking about earlier of how it's like.
So they're trying to
feel
fill
like-
an agenda, is what you're saying.
Oh
People- well,
yeah,
everyone's
absolutely.
trying
So they had a
to-
and
specific-
they're profiting.
but they had a
They're
very
stealing, it's black
specific
people
narrative.
stealing from black people is really what it is right
Yeah.
now, and it's sad and it's
Like when we talked
disappointing.
about.
And Black Lives Matter has invested, millions of dollars into the founder's husband's company.
Yeah.
Is just preposterous and
Yeah.
sad and unfortunate, and it's failed the whole.
It's like how these things have core values,
Yeah.
and then they get corrupted and they get greedy and they
Or-
get.
Yes.
Or were they greedy in the first place, and then they tapped into a core value to market it?
I think they were. I agree with
But
that.
that
And I
core
think they'll
value
take.
existed before. So I'm
Well-
saying like the core value is.
Of course.
what's-
Well, it's always I mean, like
it
like
could be-
li-
I
yeah,
think
the
it could
core
be
value
say
of
ABC
people
either way.
people matter.
Like
Anybody
people-
fucking matters. Yeah, the
Yeah,
core
no
value,
shit, yeah.
right?
Is the whole point. But touching on what you just said, like they'll take anything, any black person who dies in the hands of the cops, they'll take that before the story even comes out, and they'll spin it into a racist narrative for the Black Lives Matter movement to profit off of that. There's not one penny from that organization after raising $1 billion that went back to the Black community.
Yeah.
They didn't send anybody to they didn't send any Black person to college. They didn't clean up their community. They didn't do anything. And it was totally, there's nothing, there's no receipts, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no, oh, Black Lives Matter sponsored this.
Yeah.
There's none of that, which is just, it's so incredibly sad and just absolutely destroys the whole purpose of the organization.
No,
like, they
I
ruined
fully
that.
agree.
Yeah.
And I think there's that in anything. There are these, like, in, like, queerness, like, there is a lot of, like, in the LGBT community, we talk a lot about, like, I wrote my final paper. I was going to write my final paper on, like, the capitalization of queer people. And I ended up changing it to women because it was just, like, a broader thing that I could talk about. And I, like, could feel like I connected more to it. But, like, this idea of, like, corporations, they take the month of June and they make everything rainbow and they make
Jesus
it seem
fuck.
like
Yeah, what
they
does
support
Macy's give a
us.
shit about that
And then
for?
you go and
They
you
only
look at
care
the
about that for how
receipts
much
and
money
they're-
they spend.
Yeah, exactly. They're just there.
They don't give
they
a
just
shit.
see us. That's why I don't like any big corporations, regardless of what. Like, so yeah, I guess when it comes to the Black Lives Matter organization, I wouldn't say that I support it. I support the core values behind, like, the real fight for equality in that sense and against racism.
So you care about the spirit of it.
Yes, way more, because every company for anything, I think, just uses like people in our struggles and things that have happened to us for profitable gain.
Yeah, and that's why
How do you sift through all that?
Exactly when you'll
literally-
see and I can't stand it at all, because when you think about, oh, where's Black Lives Matter in the media right now, it's nowhere, and nobody's gonna care until 2024.
Yep.
And
Oh,
in
yeah, it'll be
2024 of
ramped up
April,
again,
there's gonna be a Black man killed by a police officer, and they're gonna start it all over again because they want their votes. And what the and
that's
Democrats
the sad
again
part,
but they'll take those votes and they'll be like, you gotta vote for us, you know, we'll change
we're
all
gonna do
this.
shit, and then they don't do
But
shit.
then Black people have been voting Democrat for decades, and what
don't
has
do
gotten
shit.
better for them? Nothing.
Zip.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing has, and they just use them. They'll use them. They'll use them, and they'll use them until
that's
people
what.
start
Yeah,
waking
no,
up
I
to it.
fully agree that I think both political parties use, like, oppressed and marginalized groups just as, like, a sad sob story to get them their votes, and then they don't do shit about them. And they, specifically with, like, people who like poor people or, like, people in lower incomes, they say that they care about them and they say that they're going to do all these things, and they don't do shit, and they
Well,
don't.
they do it for their votes
make
because it
any
gives them
change.
power, and their power gives them
Because
money.
if they actually did make change, then they would lose their power, and it would start to come back to the common man.
Which is why term limits would solve like 99% of these problems that we're talking about.
All right.
And I think that's where it all starts. Like,
for
are these
sure.
solutions
Oh, I
are all in
think
term
it
limits.
starts.
But then it's also like you don't
Change some
want
things.
it starts change, but it's also like, okay, the Democrats rule for 10 years, or they do this, and then the next person
Republicans
just comes and
rule.
repeals all of it, and then we start
Yeah.
again, and then we keep
Well,
fighting.
not
all that.
necessarily though, because if it would be staggered, it's not like it would be ground zero.
That's
It's like
true, yeah.
owning an electric vehicle. Everyone's like, do you know that if everybody had an electric vehicle, the grid would go down? It's like, it's not going to be like Marvel where there's a fucking snap and all of a sudden everybody's got an electric vehicle. It doesn't work like that. It's a slow, gradual change over the next 50 fucking years. So, you know, you have to.
But it's
that's what
hard to
happens.
be patient about that, and it's hard to.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, there's no patience anymore because everything's instant.
Well, that's gonna be a.
Well,
whole
we're
other
conditioned that
episode,
way,
yeah.
right? We're conditioned to be instant. We want things. We want them right now.
I fully.
We can't wait for anything. Nobody can wait for anything. There's no waiting. No more waiting. All right, you get your last chance. What's your last thing you want to talk about? It doesn't have to be a topic. It can be anything. You can make your last stance. What do you want to say? You want to ask a question? You can burp as your last.
No, I just think. I guess it's just like my last thing. I would just want to like emphasize the like importance of these these conversations, and the fact that it's important to like acknowledge on both sides that both sides are so unwilling to have these conversations, and that and I get like it's hard to admit when you have been wrong and when you have like been closed-minded in a sense, because like I love to think that like, oh, I'm super inclusive and like I'm so open-minded and things like that, but like I fully admit, you know, like, oh, I see someone with like an American flag tattoo and I'm like, great, another conservative, or I'm like, I totally have those snap judgments. And I just think it's really important that, like, one by one, we just, like, start to step back from that. Even though it's, like, it sucks. Because it's like, oh, well, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to listen to the other side. But that's the only way that anything's, like, ever going to actually change or get better. And, like, possibly.
The only way we're going to evolve.
Yes. And that's why, I think that's why we evolve so slowly. Is because we're so trapped in our own little bubble of everything I do is right and I can't be wrong and I'm so much better than everyone else because I think this. But it's like, yeah. But I just think it's also important to know, like, I am not perfect at that. Like, and I don't think anyone is.
Right.
It's just about
it's a work in
acknowledging.
progress.
It's acknowledging the bias you have.
It doesn't mean giving up on it.
Oh,
It means
no, not at all.
acknowledging it.
Yeah, like, I still,
right?
even after this conversation, I still feel just as strongly about the things that, like, I support and the things of that. But it's like now I also have, though, a new perspective. And I know that we have common ground on certain things. And I'm not, like, now, like, scared to talk to you about, like, certain things like that. And I feel like if we did that on a much larger scale, things might actually change.
One podcast at a time.
Yeah.
There's only so many times Jared's going to come over here and set up all this stuff and do this, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to do it every
need
week.
Yeah.
But we've been...
Definitely cut that out. Jared's like turning off the camera.
All right, so that'll be a thing, and then that's it. We're out.
Woo! That was awesome.
I have the worst headache. That
That's all
flight
getting cut.
needs to be
Right?
turned
Oh, we've been
off.
out for 3 hours.